say is when you watch the players, splashing off, the splashes are running. This is not a time to be taking risks and playing the ball out for the back. Get it in behind, get up forward, and then chase it because it will hold up.
Really important moment ahead of this game as well. At either end of the stadium on the big screens, giant images of the late great Gordon McQueen have appeared, who died last week, aged 70. We have a minute's applause here at Hampden Park to remember him. The rain like tears falling from the heavens for one of Scotland's greats, Gordon McQueen, who died aged 70 last week. 30 caps for his country, 5 goals. I'm sure the one that Pat Nevin and James McFadden will both remember. June 1977 at Wembley in a Scotland 2-1 win against England.
Well, people think about the crossbar being broken. When he headed that ball, his head was above the crossbar. He was so high. Great memories of a great man and a great player.
Yeah, great man, great player, exactly. Big game for Scotland tonight. 5 Live and BBC Sounds. Australia have won the first test against England in an absolute thriller. We hope for more drama tonight here at Hampden Park, and these Scotland fans hoping to make it 4 wins out of 4 to go 8 points clear at the top of Group A. Ryan Porteous from centre-back drives the ball forward. Crikey, Robertson plays the ball back and it gets stuck in the water on the pitch. Tierney scoops the ball down the left-hand side. That skids off the top surface. Lyndon Dykes goes chasing. Robertson makes a block. This is going to be really, really tricky.
That's exactly what I thought beforehand when you seen the way that it was splashing up. But when you have to sweep water off the pitch, you've got a problem. So let's hope the drainage is working, because the rain has subsided to a downpour.
Yeah, exactly, Pat. Let's see how we go. We're underway. Scotland all in dark blue, defending the goal away to our left-hand side. Just a little worry for Angus Gunn. Lost his footing and the ball barely got to him on the edge of the box. He sort of shrugs his shoulders, saying, well, what can I do with that? Clears it with his right foot, and now Scotland sweep it away to the right-hand side. The conditions, of course, exactly the same for both teams, but this is very tricky indeed. Dykes trying to control a ball from McGinn on the edge of the box, and Georgia clear away. James, can you remember playing in anything quite like this?
I can't remember, but I'm just looking at the players. Ryan Porteous, when it comes back to him, he actually puts so much on the pass to make sure it gets there, but it just takes a little bounce just before it gets to Angus Gunn. And that's what I said just before we kicked off. Don't take that risk, just put it in behind. It might skid off the surface, but it'll probably hold up and give you something to chase, because even the start was up to Dykes, was out to Robertson. He tries to play a pass inside and it just holds up in the puddle it is. In fact, you're speaking about clearing the water off the pitch. They only cleared the goal mouth, they weren't clearing the rest of it.
Robertson's ball down the left-hand side is chased by Tierney, who's sort of in the left wing-back position, having collected the pass, plays it down a drier part of the pitch to Callum McGregor. His pass stops dead. Robertson sprints forward to try and get on the end of it. Dykes tries to tee himself up for a left foot volley on the edge of the box, pinging around, falls to Hickey, 25 yards from goal, lays it back into the path of Porteous, who just goes running beyond the ball because it stops dead. And Kvaratskhelia now trying his dribbling skills, gets knocked to the floor and is absolutely soaked to the skin as he picks himself up, having fallen in a giant puddle. I saw him talking to the referee, Pat, before the game. I mean, he's not happy the game's being played.
For the listeners there, this is bordering on unplayable. Let's be fair about it. The players can get injured when this sort of thing happens. The ball sticking. By the way, rule number 1, doesn't matter the situation, never pass it back to your goalkeeper in these conditions. But I don't think a lot of the players have played in conditions like this before.
I doubt it, and I think that you're right. I think it is unplayable, if I'm being honest. Can we not just have maybe a delay to try and clear it a little bit, because the rain has stopped?
Scotland trying to win the ball off Georgia inside their own half. They've done that. Here's McTominay just on the edge of the D, tries a little back heel to McGinn, loses it. Billy Gilmore steps into a challenge. Georgia bring it away down the left-hand side with Kaitaishvili, and he commits a foul just inside his own half on Porteous, and Scotland get the free kick. 3 minutes in, Scotland 0, Georgia 0 in ridiculous conditions, really.
Porteous is just in a bath. He fell on his back there and he was covered, absolutely covered, as if he jumped into a bath.
Yeah, an early bath, but let's be clear,
not
one of those, exactly. A little header from Gilmore infield, intercepted on the volley. Keep the ball off the deck. In fact, just play a bit of keepy up. Gilmore, though, tries a little slide pass. Great skills from Hickey. And then again, Hickey on the run. The ball stops dead, and his momentum takes him past the ball.
Well, the Georgian manager wants it off.
They have to stop the game to clear the pitch as much as they can.
Okay.
Because Aaron Hickey, that was sensational. Little drop of the shoulder, drive forward. He's got space. He's at the back line, and it just holds up in a puddle. Something has to be done at this point in time.
The effect on the pitch has happened very, very quickly. So quite often you'll get games called off for waterlogged pitches where the rain's been falling all day for hours and hours and hours. This was like a half-hour spell, and the officials have decided to go ahead with the game. Scotland been defending to do. Shot comes in and then stops almost on the goal line. It goes wide. It was Kitaishvili's shot, but had that been heading for the bottom corner inside the post, I think it would have stopped dead on the line and the keeper could have saved it.
Or else the keeper thought he was going to get it and dives beyond it. It's actually just silly now.
You had that player coming in as well.
Stevie Clarke is saying this game must be stopped.
Right.
And I do think this game must be stopped. Both the managers have agreed on it. This is very, very dangerous for the players. And Fadi, you're right. Just look, calm it down, give it 15 minutes, get some forks out and see if it drains.
Two managers in complete agreement down on the sideline, but we continue at the moment. 4.5 minutes gone, never seen the like. Dykes has won the ball for Scotland, and he's won a throw-in high up on the right-hand side. Scotland 0, Georgia 0. The other game in this group tonight, really big one for Norway, who are on 1 point after 3 games in this group. They're at home to Cyprus, and at the moment that game is 0-0. 76 Scotland caps between my two summarisers this evening, and 20 international goals as well for James.
That was very
McFadden
kind of you.
And Pat Nevin.
I'll take that.
Throw in on the right for Porteous. Hickey moves into space, controls it, manages to get it back to Porteous, took time over the cross into the box. Kvaratskhelia comes in and blocks, and Scotland have won themselves a corner. I will give you the Georgian team lineup when I get a chance, but let's see.
You're not confident enough.
Can't wait.
I need a good long
before this
spell.
Corner goes in. We're speaking about stopping the game. They need to stop it while it's at 0-0, because if somebody goes in front, then it makes it even more interesting. Yeah, it's a really good point. Here's McGinn, left-footed corner into the near post. Ball drops in the penalty area. Driven shot. Oh, and it's found the bottom corner. Callum McGregor with his right foot. Absolutely stinging finish. Goalkeeper Mamardashvili got a hand to it, but he couldn't keep it out. And Scotland's fantastic form continues. Just 6 minutes in at Hampden Park, and they lead Georgia by 1-0 in these monsoon-like conditions.
But it is fantastic start for Scotland. I mean, a real lift to the team. The opposition don't want to play on. Scotland have just got on with as much as they can. I wonder if Stevie Clarke will be saying stop the game now.
Play on now, Pat. Play on now. Come on. It's fine. Look, it's fine. We can deal with it. Play on.
And do you know what? See, when the opposition have made the decision they don't want to play on, you try and make you make capital now, and it may well be that he stops it. They're going to have a look at something, see if there's any infringement here.
Yeah, that's what they're doing at the moment, Pat. So our Hungarian referee Istvan Vat is just delaying the kickoff here, and he was holding his right hand to his ear, and now he's turning on his heel and he's coming towards the sidelines here. Kvaratskhelia is in conversation with his manager Willie Sagnol. Those two definitely want the game called off, and the referee is coming towards us, heading down the tunnel, and he's going to talk to officials on the side of the pitch. So this is not about the goal. This must be about the conditions this game is being played in.
It is dangerous. I mean, we've said it. Well, I haven't said that. It's come off his goal check.
Oh, right.
On our. I mean, he's gone a long way in. I think he just wants dried off for a minute. He's gone all the way up the tunnel, but I don't think it's a goal check at all.
He's taken his earpiece out, hasn't he? Which would suggest that to have a conversation about the conditions. And look, I know Scotland are winning. It'd be great if they could play on and win the game, but the players' safety is paramount here, and the players can't be sure of their footing. Not only that, if they play a ball and it's short and it sticks in the puddle and two players go fully committed to a challenge, there's risk of injury. The players' safety is paramount here. It has to be stopped, delayed, to make sure they can get the surface water off the pitch, because that's all it is, the surface water. They should have the equipment to get the water off the pitch.
Well, you say that, Faddy. In times gone by, you had a bunch of people on with forks, but with the modern pitches, it's so unusual to need it that I can't see a bunch of people with pitchforks there that can do anything.
Well, you heard the reaction of the Scotland fans when the referee headed down the tunnel to head into those discussions. Now he's marching back out onto the field, and I think he's calling the two captains together, Guram Kashia and Andy Robertson, are brought towards the referee. The Scotland fans think the game is going to continue. That's what that big roar is about. And by the way, what a strike from Callum McGregor with his right foot to score that goal. We've not even mentioned the quality of the strike yet.
It was brilliant, so controlled. We're used to seeing it, obviously not with the right foot, but the composure that he shows, and he just guides it into the side of the net. Mamadashvili gets a touch to it, but not enough to keep it out. It's a brilliant goal, and you know, it starts from Ryan Porteous in a position down the right hand side where you know he's not getting the cross in, and he's thinking, if I can get a corner, it's a good result, because Scotland are so good, so dangerous from these set plays. But when it drops to Callum McGregor, it's a wonderful finish, and it'd be a shame if the game was to end. That's why I made the point before a goal was scored, because you know, you don't score too many international goals, and for Callum McGregor it'll be one that'll be wiped from the record books if this game finishes.
Yeah, third international goal for Callum McGregor in his 53rd cap, Pat.
Yeah, he would be devastated with that. It's happened before, games have been called off. The sensible thing would be to, you know, give it a 15-minute break. The thing about pitches, I had to study them a little bit when I was executive at Motherwell. There is great abilities to get water off quickly through brilliant drainage these days. 15 minutes could make a huge difference.
Pat, sorry, the players, Scotland players are just knocking the ball about, and it is, you can still see it's puddling, but it looks to be moving better.
We're heading off. We are heading off. So after a 2-minute discussion in the middle of the pitch with the two captains, we are heading off the field, I think for a delay initially, because I could see Andy Robertson almost holding a number of fingers up to say to his team, maybe a 10-minute delay here, exactly as you were suggesting. And so we're just going to have to wait to get official word inside the stadium.
I'll be back in a minute, Ali. I'm just going to help them get the water off the pitch. I'll see you soon.
Right, there's about 5 people can run with big brushes, right?
The old squeegees.
You need 50.
Yeah.
You honestly need about 50 there. They've got a look in their faces as if to say, what can we do here? It's a huge amount of water that has to be taken off.
Tell you, they need to get a move on. They're just walking. Come on, hurry up,
guys.
It fell so incredibly quickly, didn't it, the rain? I know it's been forecast today and other parts of the country have had it, but in terms of turning the pitch into that happened in half an hour. I mean, the warm-up seemed to be going okay, and suddenly they kicked off the game and the ball just wasn't moving.
They weren't warming up in the right way, though. I was talking to James beforehand. I would be checking my studs, I would be doing zip rounds. This is an unusual situation. By the way, they're only working in one area, the 6-yard line in which Scotland have just scored into. I do think, I mean, that's not
enough. If they
enough.
Continue like that, the game won't go back on.
Enough.
Well, yeah, exactly as Pat and James are saying, we've got 5 men at the moment out there, 5 men and women. 6 now coming out in the 6-yard box away to our right, and the amount of water that is being thrown up with every single push and getting sloshed into the back of the Georgia net is incredible, really. So Scotland leading Georgia by 1-0. Callum McGregor has scored that goal. That came in the 6th minute. Players off the field at the moment, which I guess, Kelly Cates, might give us a little more time at some point to reflect on what's gone on at Edgbaston today while we wait for some football, hopefully.
We will be doing that because play didn't get underway at Edgbaston until 2:30 because of that torrential rain. But of course at the cricket they have those huge machines that come in and clear the outfield, whereas here, as you say, it's 6 individuals with oversized brooms who are trying to sweep just inside that 6-yard box where, as you say, Callum McGregor's goal was scored from to give Scotland a 1-0 advantage. But it's looking very, very difficult to try and clear this pitch here at Hampden Park. Roddy Forsyth is with us as well at Hampden. Roddy, you called this earlier on when we were all thinking about old-fashioned conditions, a bit of rain making the pitch slick. This is a huge problem now.
One of the problems at Hampden Park is there's actually a stream which runs underneath the pitch. It's a burn called the Moll's Mire. It's been here since the area started to be built up in the Middle Ages, and it's underneath the pitch and it doesn't help the drainage. And in times like this you actually wonder if the Moll's Mire is actually coming out and flooding the pitch, because that's what it looks like at the moment. Pat and Evan agreeing here.
You would hope that they would have more than 6 squeegees though. You know, it's not as though we're adverse to a little bit of rain here in Scotland. They should know and have the facilities to make sure that they can get it off the pitch.
Well, we're going to have a little bit of an announcement here.
20 minutes a reassessment of the pitch.
20 minutes,
20
Roddy.
minutes. They're asking everybody to stay in their seats, and for 20 minutes they're going to reassess the game.
And breaking news, we've got 8 squeegees out there now.
By the way, the forecast for the next hour is for it to continue to rain, but less so, and then go off, and then we're supposed to have sunshine at 9 o'clock. Welcome to Glasgow.
Kicking back off at 9 o'clock then.
9 o'clock kick-off it is then. But yeah, Scotland and Georgia are underway. Scotland leading by 1-0. But the players have been playing in such extreme circumstances, almost comical circumstances, because none of the players got injured, but there was a very real possibility of that happening if they carried on playing in this. It's not just about the integrity of the game, this is about player safety, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I think it's integrity of the game as well, because you've seen it when the players are coming out after the national anthems and they're getting ready to line up, and the water was just splashing everywhere. Every step every single player took, it was splashing everywhere, and the players' safety has to come first. But also, this is a spectacle. This is a brilliant occasion for Scotland, for the fans. They want to enjoy it. Of course, Scotland are winning, and I know that it doesn't matter how you win as long as you win, but they want to come and enjoy the game, and you don't want it to be that, you know, a stray back pass is caught up in a puddle, or someone makes a mistake due to the fact that there's so much water on the pitch. So I think this is the right decision. It has to be cleared, and it is still raining. It's more of a drizzle now, but you would like to think they'll do enough to get the water off the pitch, and this game can get kicked off again.
And as you say, there was that shot on goal from Georgia that just pulled up short of the goal line. In the end, it was going slightly wide, but that had been 5 or 6 inches to the right. It could have stopped a goal.
Yes, it could have. There's so many ifs and buts. The first pass back was enough to tell me. That was enough to tell me this is not a playable pitch in the modern sense. And again, you talk about the dangers to players, definitely the case, but it becomes ridiculous really, really quickly. I have once played a professional game in conditions, I'm going to tell you, worse than this, actually worse, and it was a final game of the season. The season had to finish that night, so we had no choice of Chelsea against Watford, and we ended up, we had to flick the ball up and volley it because there was puddles on the pitch. The pitches are so much better now, you don't expect it. I will say one thing though, there are only there, right, let's have an update, 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, well 9 squeegees now, so we're getting on a little bit now, but they are so unlikely to ever use them again or before. And I would ask, how many top grounds around the country have got better equipment for that to walk out to? I don't know if they will. I think they're just incredibly unlucky in the circumstances.
I think you're right, a lot of rain has fallen in a very short period of time, which has meant that it's not been able to drain. I'm not good at this kind of stuff. I'm not a weather expert, and I'm not an expert on growth football pitches either, or on training football pitches, but it was extreme conditions. But what, half an hour, 45 minutes before kick-off there? What was but do you remember the Scotland game that was, I mean, it's almost as farcical. Do you remember the Scotland game that wasn't played? When John Collins kicked off against Estonia, where they went, and then the game that, I think they kicked off, and then the referee blew his whistle for it to be abandoned.
Yeah, Estonia didn't turn up, did they?
They kicked off and scored, remember? Yeah. And the referee disallowed it while the fans were singing "There's only one team in Tallinn."
That's right. And there actually was only one team.
We've had extraordinary circumstances here at Hampden Park today. Scotland are leading by 1-0, but the match has been paused. It'll be another 10-15 minutes now. They're going to try and reassess. We've got a small team of people with oversized sort of squeegee style brushes trying to clear the pitch of any excess water. It feels like they're fighting a bit of an uphill battle at the moment, but the hope will be that this game will be able to go ahead eventually, not least because these Scotland fans will want to see more of the game in which they are leading by 1-0. We'll keep you up to date with that. We're also going to head to Queen's Club, where our tennis correspondent Russell Fuller has watched a very busy day, including a very damaging defeat for Andy Murray. Russell, tell us what happened.
Yes, Kelly, it means that after losing to Alex de Minaur in straight sets 6-3, 6-1, unless there is an unlikely spate of withdrawals from Wimbledon over the next 10 days, Andy Murray will not be seeded, which means, and he's been used to this over the last 2 or 3 years, he takes pot luck when that draw comes out a week on Friday. He could face the defending champion Novak Djokovic in the very first round. He'd been in terrific form, winning those 2 challenger events in Surbiton and Nottingham, but now playing on the ATP Tour and against an opponent like Alex de Minaur, who's top 20 in the world and had 2 match points to reach the Wimbledon quarterfinals last year. He was very much second best, and he looked laboured today. It was his 11th match in 16 days after that run of success, and I think that certainly contributed to a fairly lethargic performance.
And Russell, there was a scare for Carlos Alcaraz.
Yes, he was taken to a 3rd set tiebreak. The world number 2, who could be the world number 1 again by the end of the week. He'd need to win the title to do that. but eventually came through against a lucky loser from qualifying by the name of Artur Rinderknecht. He says he enjoys playing on the grass, but it was only his 7th grass court match of his career, so he says the expectations here at Queen's certainly for him are not too high. And there was one other British player in action today at Queen's, Kelly, and that was Liam Brodie, who made an excellent start, winning the first set 6-1 against Adrian Manarino, but eventually lost in 3.
In terms of British interest in Birmingham, Katie Boulter and her defeat, Russell, how disappointing was that, particularly because of the win in Nottingham at the weekend?
Well, I'm never altogether surprised when a player, after winning the first WTA title of their career, then suffers defeat when they come out again 48 hours later, which is the position that Katie Boulter found herself in. And even though she's now a top 100 player, her opponent today, Zhu Lin of China, is a top 40 player, and Zhu won 7-5, 7-5. So maybe Katie Boulter, with Wimbledon fast approaching, will appreciate a little bit of a rest. Trying to look at the positive side here. There is another match that's just finished involving 2 British players, and Jodie Burrage, who was beaten by Katie Boulter in that Nottingham final, has just lost out in a third set, 7-5 to Harriet Dart. Burrage was troubled at the end there by a right ankle injury, so we hope that's something that she'll be able to recover from very quickly.
Russell, thank you very much. Russell Fuller joining us there to give us the very latest on the tennis action, but we can also get reaction from the Ashes because, as you heard in the last hour, Pat Cummins and Nathan Lyon have steered Australia to a thrilling 2-wicket win in the first test. They put on 55 runs to secure an extraordinary victory. Here's England's Jimmy Anderson.
Amazing to be a part of that. We've had 5 really good days. Obviously, we're gutted not to get over the line and win the game, but I think in a few days' time, over the next few days, when we sit down and look at what we've done this week, I think we can be really proud as a group. We've tried to dominate the game from ball one. That declaration on day one, I thought was really positive, and we fought on what was a really placid pitch. We've done some great stuff, as I said. Credit to Australia, though, today they were just too good for us.
I think you should have won it.
I don't know what you mean by that.
Well, there'll be missed chances, and 55, the last one pair put together.
Yeah, of course. We'll look back, and there's areas we can improve for sure. There always is in games like this, and in tight games, I suppose those sorts of chances do get put under the spotlight a little bit more. So we'll go away. As I said, we'll let it soak in for a few days, get over the disappointment of losing the game. But obviously, look at the positives. We've played some great cricket. We've had 5. I think they've been pretty much sold out,
yes.
And everyone's gone home happy each day. And I think all the fans, both Australian and English fans today, can go home saying they've seen one of the great Test matches. And we're proud to be a part of that. But obviously, we want to get the win. As I said, we'll go away, try and work on some stuff, and come back at Lord's and playing some more positive cricket.
Yeah, and I guess you must believe that you can beat Australia on the back of this.
Absolutely, yeah. I think we think we can beat anyone if we play at our best, and that's what we'll try and do. We'll try and as I said, regroup after this. But there's so many positives, I think, from this week that we can be really proud of. Obviously, we'll try and iron out the little areas that we need to. But as I said, we think we can beat anyone if we play our best for 5 days.
That was Jimmy Anderson as we continue to bring you reaction from Australia's win in the Ashes earlier today from Hampden Park, where there has been a break in play because of extreme weather conditions. The pitch is absolutely flooded. I tell you what, the small team out there seem to be doing a fantastic job in terms of clearing it, and the guy who's picking the tunes here at Hampden's clearly got a sense of humour, because it's Travis, Why Does It Always Rain on Me, that's on the loudspeakers at the moment. So we've got a decision on whether or not this game will go ahead in the next 5 minutes or so. We'll bring you that. In the meantime, here's more reaction from that opening Ashes test from England captain Ben Stokes, talking to our correspondent Jonathan Agnew.
I was suggesting, Ben, I reckon you must be pretty frazzled after that. How do you feel? What a game!
Unbelievable game. That's why you play it, isn't it?
Yeah, it is why you play. But are you kind of a bit?
Yeah, I reckon. Obviously, it's been 10 minutes, but I think in terms of everything that we've spoken about consistently for a long period of time, literally came down to the end of today. the whole crowd was going, everyone was on the edge of their seat, not knowing which way it was going to go. And, you know, as I've always said, you know, we're not a results-driven team. We think about more than that. Obviously, we're absolutely devastated that we've lost. The lads are up there just in absolute pieces, especially Robbo and Brody, who put in an unbelievable shift there. But if that's not attracting people to this game that we love and have, you know, committed so much of our time towards, and I don't know what will.
You can hear it. I mean, the Australians as well, loving that. 55 to win. Obviously, that eighth pair comes together. What are you thinking at that stage?
Yeah, I mean, you never ever think that you've won a game until you've won it. And it was still massively in the balance there. It was a very hard wicket to sort of get genuine wickets on. You had to sort of come up with, you know, different ideas constantly. When the batters sort of felt like they were in sort of a comfortable position, you sort of had to keep changing things. And, you know, the amount of times it worked throughout the whole time that we bowled in the first innings and this innings as well. And then it just comes down to small margins at the end, you know. You know, a few chances sort of go our way, you know, a couple sort of, you know, drop catch as well. Thought I had it, but fortunately I did have it, but it just popped out. You know, it's a couple just falling short of Popey and stuff like that. But, you know, you can't look back on things that have happened. And, you know, unfortunately we're here as the losers this game, and Australia have won, but we've got 4 more to go.
Yeah. The declaration sparked some debate, not amongst those of us who played in the 1980s in the Championship cricket when you did all that sort of thing. Do you look back at that now and think, 40 runs, or it was just to try and get a couple of wickets?
Yeah, you know, I seen that as a time to pounce. I said up in the dressing rooms after that day, actually, is that if that was sort of any other team and we were in that position, that's what we would have looked to do. And the thing that I said to myself was, I'm not going to change the way that I've gone about my cricket with this team over the last year because it's the Ashes. And, you know, who knows, we could have got another 40 runs, Joe could have got out, and then Jimmy could have got out the next ball, you know. So we're not a team who goes on, and I'm not a captain who goes on what ifs.
Yeah. And just last thought, I mean, you'll take a lot of positive thoughts away from this. Australia are beatable.
Yeah, definitely. You know, I thought we were sort of in control of most of the game, and you know, we managed to produce a result, and that's all we want to try and do. You know, obviously we want to come out on top more than we don't, but if we're going to be involved in games like that more than not, and we end up, you know, sort of being on the losing end, it's obviously devastating. You know, I'm pretty sort of beat up emotionally at the moment, but that's sport. It's great. It's an emotional roller coaster, especially when you get down to the end of the day 5.
That was Ben Stokes reflecting on England's defeat in the opening Ashes test at Edgbaston earlier today. Huge cheer here at Hampden because more people have come out with more brushes to try and clear the surface to try and get this game going ahead. Scotland are leading by a 0-0. Callum McGregor scored in the first few minutes of the game, but it was stopped very shortly afterwards because the surface is unplayable. They're doing their best out here, and we'll know imminently whether or not this game is going to resume and go ahead. Let's get more reaction in the meantime to the Ashes. Australia captain Pat Cummins is also with Aggers.
Big smile on your face. What a finish that was.
Yeah, amazing. All 5 days, just incredible test cricket, really. It ebbed and flowed, and might need to take a little while to digest this one, but pretty smiley at the moment.
Yeah, well, I mean, 55 you put on with Nathan Lyon there. That's quite something. I mean, was there any point where you were thinking, actually, perhaps we're not going to get over the line, and then you hit those 2 sixes off Joe Root? I mean, was that a deliberate change of tempo, if you like? Did you ever think of just blocking it out?
Never thought of a draw, no. There's different periods where it felt really tough to get runs. You know, I think when we were 70 away, it felt a long way away. But, you know, a couple of boundaries and suddenly the field spreads and you can tick over a couple of singles. So, yeah, I can't really remember any of it, to be honest.
Actually, nor can any of us. It seems like it's gone on forever, this game. Can I take you back to the first day? If you go back that far, and the tactics, England batting, quite deep set fields from the go. Would you do that again, or would you actually put a bit more pressure on England next time around, do you think?
We'll see. You know, I think we made a couple of key tweaks kind of to the second innings. I thought Joe Root in particular batted, you know, fantastically well on that first day. We'll have to wait and see. I mean, the wicket on day 1 was pretty flat, so he didn't have too many options, and you know, I think in the end 390 odd. I think we had 5 for 170, so a couple of key moments that could have gone our way and it could have been different.
You've had your first taste, actually, of experiencing the way that England are trying to play. What do you make of it? Did it surprise you at all?
No, I wouldn't say surprised. Nothing too unexpected, but you know, they're class players, and I think it's probably their strongest suit, the way they go about it. Ours is a little bit different, but yeah, it makes for pretty good viewing for the fans out there.
Yeah, and he got you over the line. And the last one, Usman Khawaja, what an effort that was.
Yeah, superstar. He spent almost every minute of the match out there on the field. Just stuck at it, just composure the whole 5 days. Holding the innings together, just absolute superstar.
How do you come down from this tonight? What are you going to do?
Don't know. We've got a bit of a break, don't we, till the next one. So, I think we might. I think Gazza might have us sitting around him telling us through his innings a few times tonight.
I'm afraid you might have to put up with that.
Yeah, I'll listen this one time. Yeah.
Thanks for talking to us, Pat.
Great,
And congratulations. Well played.
Jonathan Agnew there talking to Pat Cummins, and there's lots more reaction to that opening Ashes victory for Australia in the TMS pod, which is available on BBC Sounds. Elsewhere today, as we wait on a decision as to whether or not this game goes ahead at Hampden with a waterlogged pitch, history was made on the first day of Royal Ascot. John Hunt was watching.
Royal Ascot always starts with a bang, with 3 top-level races to get the week started, and Paddington won the main event, the St James's Palace Stakes, giving Aidan O'Brien his 83rd career win here, moving 1 ahead of the great Sir Michael Stoute. The race had been billed as a head-to-head between Paddington, the Irish Guineas winner, and Chaldean, the English Guineas winner. In truth, it was a mismatch, as Paddington strode clear to beat Chaldean by an easy 3 3/4 lengths. Holly Doyle also enjoyed major success today, guiding Brad Sell to victory in the big sprint race, the King Stan Stakes, holding hot favourite Highfield Prince by a length. Here is Doyle's reaction after becoming the most successful female rider in history at the Royal Meeting.
I'm so lucky. I have to pinch myself sometimes at the position I'm in, and coming to Royal Ascot and again having a win on the first day is unbelievable, because I've got a big book of rides, but you play it down every year and you think if you get one I'll be doing well, and so I'm lucky.
You're now the leading female rider in the history books at Royal Ascot. You must be proud of that achievement.
Yeah, it's a great achievement, and hopefully there'll be plenty more years ahead of me riding. Yeah.
There was a small sting in the tail for Doyle, as she was suspended for 4 days by the Ascot stewards for careless riding. So no headlines for Dettori then, second on Chaldean. He also finished runner-up in the Queen Anne Stakes, as Inspiral was narrowly beaten by the rank outsider, Triple Time, ridden by Neil Callan.
Thank you very much to John Hunt, rounding up the day's events at the opening day of Royal Ascot. And we're just trying to work out what's going on here at Hampden, because they're sweeping the pitch clear of water. Alistair Bruce-Ball, Pat Nevin and James McFadden are here. Ali, you're on broom watch.
Yes, so I'm looking away to my right-hand side to the penalty area that Georgia are defending in the first half, the 9 minutes of which we've watched, the goal that Scotland scored in through that Callum McGregor shot. There's still a lot of surface water there. They continue to mop it from the edge of the penalty area back towards the goal, but there's still big puddles being thrown up as they do so. The referee came out with one of his assistants about 5 minutes or so ago, but very strangely, Pat Nevin, he walked around the pitch, but he didn't have a ball with him to see how the ball's going to roll if we do get this game back underway, if we can get this game back underway.
A bizarre, pointless move by the official. So you cannot tell if it's playable unless you kick a ball over it. I mean, there might be water under your feet, but if it's not lying too deep, then you can play across it, and you only find that by rolling a ball across it. And he didn't even bring a ball with him, which made me think it was a kind of an exercise of show and not interest in him. See, Stevie Clark's just been out, hasn't he?
Just looking on the BBC Sport website at the moment, Kelly. So, you know, if the worst comes to the worst and the game cannot get back underway this evening, in terms of the UEFA rules, if a match cannot start or cannot be played in full, the full or remaining match time is, as a rule, played on the next day. For that purpose, the host association must conclude all the necessary agreements to ensure the required facilities are available. If a match cannot be rescheduled the next day, UEFA fixes a new date during or as close as possible to the international match calendar window concerned. So, you know.
You sorted out your travel, Ali?
Well, there's an early train tomorrow that I probably won't be on if we're playing tomorrow.
Shirley Young on Twitter makes the point it's either going to be a really late night or a very early one, James.
Yeah, I mean, I thought for a moment that they were getting to grips with it, but it just seems to be water everywhere. I don't understand why it seems to be absolutely no drainage on the pitch at all, and I know it's a bit, you know, old school, but where are the forks?
Yeah.
Where are the forks? Poke holes in the ground and get the water drain into it, as well as taking it off the top of it.
I'm only guessing, but I think the real expertise might be behind us here. Roddy Forsyth's point about the stream underneath. Fabulous knowledge.
Well, I must give credit to the man who lives in Somerville Drive, adjacent to the ground, who wrote to me some years ago to tell me the details of that. And since then, I've often wondered why the pitch gets so wet when it's raining. And there you are. So
I have an update. The update is that there is no update at the moment. There will be another pitch inspection at 25:02. So we've got another 15 minutes until we know whether or not this game is going to go ahead, and 15 more minutes for those people to put their back into it, and they will be waking up tomorrow morning aching, because this is an uphill job here at Hampden as they're trying to clear the pitch. It's very definitely got better. The rain is, if anything, a light drizzle, even if there is any rain at all at the moment, and they are trying to get this underway and make this playable. The crowd have stayed inside Hampden. The guy who's picking the tunes is doing a fantastic job, because he's had Scotland World Cup songs on, he's got a bit of Status Quo on, he's had Why Does It All of His Rain on Me by Travis. He's doing his best to keep spirits high, and there's almost a sense that this is a collective experience.
he hasn't done wet yet.
Oh, Roddy, he's got to come in with that one.
Well, the phrase is no Scotland, no party, but there is a party and there's still no Scotland just now. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, they always pick good DJs around here, I think.
Well, we're speaking to Pat Nevin. We've got time now. We've got 15 minutes till anything's happened. So Pat, tell us about this, because there's such a great atmosphere around Scotland matches at the moment, because they're on this really good run, and it's not just the last 3 games, which are the opening 3 qualifiers in this group, that they've managed to win, including the wins against Spain, including the win away in Norway just the other day. But there's a real sense of positivity. So to kind of harness that, they've created this trial fan park for this game. So Saltire Square, and they've had only the creme de la creme of Scottish DJs there. No Calvin Harris. Instead, there was a Pat Nevin.
Yeah, and it was probably fun DJing in front of that gang there. They basically jump about to anything within the right mood, the Scotland fans. But it was a really good idea. The exercise seemed to work well. But there's 2 slight downsides. One, had that downpour happened when I was on the decks out in the open air, I could have been frazzled. It was horrendous. I think we might have you've given this information already. There's another suspension. You're miles ahead of it, Kelly. But I mean, really, when you walk in here and it was sunshine, it was beautiful earlier on, everybody was just loving every second of it and desperate for this game to start, and it still isn't starting.
No, this could be a
late
one.
Brightening up to the east, don't you think?
Yeah, it's definitely clearing. The skies are definitely getting clearer, and the pitch is definitely getting less waterlogged. But whether or not it's going to be playable, we just don't know at this stage.
No, at this stage you're watching, they seem to find new reservoirs of water to shove off, and yet I don't know how they're doing it. But if you look down there, for example, on this near side, there's one fellow there who's been just shoveling broomfuls of water off. But it does seem to be lessening, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Our producer George Kelly just reminded me 2012 England against Poland in Warsaw. Do you remember there was like a flash storm, flash flood there, and that actually got played the next day. By the way, I've got a quick Pat DJing story as well. So penultimate weekend of the Premier League season, Pat and I commentated on Nottingham Forest against Arsenal together. 5:30 kickoff on a Saturday, so the game finished at 7:30. We had to do quite a bit post-match as well, because that was the Nottingham Forest win that gave Manchester City the title. Pat then couldn't get to his train, and I was going down to West Ham Leeds, so Pat said, can I hop in your car? And I gave him a lift to Dalston. I was absolutely exhausted by the time I got to Dalston, having done a game on the Saturday. I headed straight for my hotel and for bed. Pat, I think you probably got to bed at 3:30, 4 o'clock that morning.
I started DJing when you went to bed.
Exactly. And you did a game the next day, didn't you? I just couldn't believe it.
Correct. There's actually 2 of me. I just don't tell people.
By the way, the Polish game that you mentioned, was that not because they didn't close the roof?
That is a stadium where I think you might be right, Roddy.
They forgot to close the roof. And we don't have a retractable roof, so it doesn't matter here. It's just
don't have any roof, as we've found to, of course.
Why would you need a roof in Glasgow? It never rains in Glasgow.
I have to say, I'm feeling a wee bit more upbeat about it now. I think the drains are beginning to kick in a bit. I mean, not everyone's putting their back in there, but the problem is you could get most of it playable, but if there are patches unplayable, it's still unplayable, and that's your difficulty here.
I think the key is the rain has to stay off as well, because they're putting so much effort in to get the water off the pitch as best they can. If the rain comes on, then you would imagine that, you know, all that will be in vain.
I'm really excited by this, DJ, because this is a much more tangential one. There's Living on a Prayer by Bon Jovi, and the name of the album is
Slippery When Wet.
Exactly that. So he's definitely got a theme going. He's still not made Roddy's Wet yet, which still hasn't quite happened.
Kelly, James made a really good point just before Scotland scored, that they actually needed to stop the game really before a team scored, because if this game does restart and Scotland win it by a goal to nil, if you're Georgia, you're going to turn around and say, well, we played that game the first 9 minutes in entirely different conditions that we finished it in. Is that right?
Yeah, but so did Scotland.
Yeah, they did that.
And you do, conditions do change. The conditions were the same for Scotland as they were for Georgia in those first 6 or 7 or 8 or 9 minutes. So, you know, it's just part of the deal. You need to put up with that. The bigger question is, which I think you've answered, Alistair, if it was cancelled and played tomorrow, is it 1-0 after 9 minutes?
It said remaining match time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, I don't want it, but I put up with it.
Oh, we're not bothered then, are we? You know, Scotland are winning, so we don't care. I think as long as this game's played, I don't think anybody will be too bothered about
Can we
it as well.
underline another thing? We do care about the fans who can't get back. The ones that will, you know, miss out on seeing a game, and there was such excitement about it, because not everyone can get 2 days in a row. We're not ignoring that. We are talking about players and the situation, but for a lot of people, well, the last train's a nightmare.
Yeah,
things like that.
It is, but I think that the work that they're doing, I think that, you know, they'll get the game on, whether it's leaving it another 10 minutes after the next pitch inspection, as long as they can get the game on. I'm sure that the people in here won't mind, as long as Scotland get the right result.
So it is just under 10 minutes until the next pitch inspection, at which point we will know whether or not this game is to be played, whether it's to be postponed further, or whether indeed it's to be postponed tomorrow, or potentially it could be postponed to another date. We'll keep you up to date with everything. As soon as we get word of it, we'll let you know here on 5 Live Sport. Let's just take a moment away from Hampden at the moment, because there's T20 Blast cricket going on 5 Sports Extra at the moment. Kevin Howells can bring us up to date on the action. Evening, Kevin.
Doesn't seem quite right to come from football, rain has stopped play, to cricket where it hasn't, but that's the case at the moment. We've got 7 games in the T20 Blast this evening. It's sort of coming towards the business end of qualifying for the quarterfinals. Already one result. One game started at 5:30 this afternoon, and Jos Buttler, the England one-day captain, made a 74 for Lancashire Lightning, but they lost to Worcestershire Rapids by 7 wickets. Lancashire Lightning 164 for 8, including that Jos Buttler half-century, a second 50 in 4 games for Lancashire, but the Rapids got home, and with plenty to spare, a 7-wicket win, and they got that target in the 18th over, including Jack Haynes, who scored a 63 off 43 deliveries, Santner with a 49 off 27. At the moment, that means in the North Group there are 5 teams all at the top, all on 12 points. That might change by the end of the evening, because I say we're getting towards the little period of the last 2 or 3 matches of qualifying, so it's quite a crazy situation. In the North Group, got North Group matches and South Group matches. Also in the North, we've got this game here at Chestler Street, where the Bears are racing away, trying to chase down Durham's 146 for 5. Birmingham Bears off to a really good start, 74 for no wicket in just the 9th over at the moment. Real solid start here from Birmingham Bears, who one of those teams who are sitting on 12 points at the top. Alex Davis and Rob Yates made a really strong start for Birmingham. Durham and their 146 for 5 required some interesting knocks in the end from Ollie Robinson. His 54 of 50 balls, 3 fours and a 6, and Ashton Turner a 53 not out of 31, but always seemed just a little bit low on that 146 mark. So 146 for 5, Birmingham Bears seemingly on their way to a victory. One of the most dramatic scores we've got at the moment, though, is at Leeds, where Yorkshire Vikings, chasing down the Steelbacks of Northamptonshire's 180 for 6, are 30 for 4 after 6 overs. David Willey, who of course started at Northants, an England international, spent several seasons with Yorkshire, and then went back to the Steelbacks, where he is now as captain. He's picked up a couple of wickets. Ben Sanderson has got a couple of wickets as well. David Milan is not out on 5, but wickets falling all around him in the moment. So the Vikings in trouble, having lost to Derbyshire at the weekend as well. So they're 30 for 4 after 6 overs. They need 181 to win. Of the other matches going on, got Leicestershire Foxes matches, Notts Outlaws and East Midlands Derby taking place North Group again, this one in Leicester, where Leicestershire are chasing 165 to try and beat the Outlaws. The Foxes have made again a good start on the run chase. A lot of good run chases here. Foxes 48 for no wicket after 7 overs. Welsh and Hanscom, the not out pair there for Leicestershire. What else we got for you? Rain. Well, we have got rain in one of the matches down at Bristol, where Hampshire Hawks scored 158 for 7 off their 20 overs. Gloucestershire 15 for 1 in the third. The biggest total of the night is Surrey's 238 for 5 of the Oval. Glamorgan a 43 for 2 after 6 overs, chasing that down in the 7 o'clock start in the south. Sussex Sharks against the Kent Spitfires. Halfway point, Sussex Sharks have scored 169 for 7. So the Kent chase will begin very, very shortly.
Thank you very much for that, Kevin. Thunderstruck by AC/DC is now on the speakers here at Hampden Park as we await a pitch inspection, a further pitch inspection. This game kicked off at 7:45. 10 minutes or so into the game, it was paused because the pitch is unplayable, at which point Scotland were leading by a goal to nil. It was scored by Callum McGregor, and in fact a lot of the clearing of the water on the surface is focused within the 6-yard box where the goal was scored for Scotland. They lead by a goal to nil. There is a chance that this game could be played this evening. It definitely looks like the pitch is getting better. The skies are clearer. If it's not completed today, it could be completed tomorrow. It could be completed at a later date, but we will know more in the next 5 minutes or so. Let's check in on the latest BBC News headlines in the meantime with Carl Hartley.
Listen on BBC Sounds. This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
Thanks, Kelly. The US Coast Guard says there's been no results in the searches for a submersible that disappeared while diving to the wreck of the Titanic. They estimate the Titan, which has 5 people on board, has around 40 hours of oxygen remaining. Businessman Hamish Harding is one of those on board. His friend Colonel Terry Virts is a former commander of the International Space Station.
There's absolutely no light at that depth. The water is about freezing. Therefore, the temperature inside, as soon as they run out of power for the heater, is going to get very cold. Minimizing activity to lengthen the oxygen time is very important. Banging on the walls so that they can be heard through sonar is important.
The government has ruled out providing any direct help to mortgage holders who are struggling with rising monthly repayments. The Chancellor, Jeremy Hunt, will meet lenders later this week to discuss the issue. England's former Chief Medical Officer Dame Sally Davies has told the COVID inquiry that the lockdowns during the pandemic damaged a generation. The inquiry is looking into how prepared the UK was ahead of coronavirus. Dame Sally also apologised.
Maybe this is the moment to say how sorry I am to the relatives who lost their families. It wasn't just the deaths, it was the way they died. It was horrible.
The judge in Prince Harry's privacy trial has questioned why the former editor of the Daily Mirror, Piers Morgan, and nearly 30 other journalists have not given evidence at the High Court. The Duke of Sussex and 3 other claimants accused Mirror Group newspapers of using unlawful means to find out information about their private lives. The publisher denies the claims. And a social media influencer who admitted stalking the footballer Mason Mount has been given a suspended prison sentence. The court heard how Orla Sloan, who's 22, used 21 different phone numbers to message the England player after the pair had slept together in November 2020.
Call Jonathan Pie. I want something better than that. No.
What's wrong with Call Jonathan Pie?
It's really boring.
OK, so let's all do a brain fart. Actually, what about that? Jonathan Pie's brain fart. It's hilarious.
Jonathan Pie, off my chest.
Off my chest?
Chewing the fat, chewing the pie.
Chewing the cud.
Cud? The title for my new phone-in show is Jonathan Pie Chews His Own Sit.
I'm just spitballing. Let's just spitball.
Jonathan Pie spits balls.
Should we just stick with Call Jonathan Pie?
Yes.
Call Jonathan Pie. Listen first on BBC Sounds. This is 5 Live Sport with Kelly Cates.
We are live from Hampden Park this evening for Scotland against Georgia if and when it gets underway. We've already played a few minutes of the game. Scotland lead by a goal to nil. Callum McGregor got the goal, but then the match was stopped. The cheers you can hear is because they've been out sweeping the pitch with brooms to try and clear the surface water. They are now out with a ball. The officials are trying to pass the ball across the pitch, and every time they get any kind of distance on it, the crowd are cheering because they are hopeful that this game is going to get underway again. This pitch inspection taking place in front of us. Roddy Forsyth
he was trying to bounce the ball in the penalty area and it wouldn't bounce.
Yeah.
So that goes against the chances of it restarting.
So the fans are being optimistic, but maybe what we're seeing is not the possibility of this game going ahead. James McFadden, Pat Nevin and Alistair Bruce Ball are also here.
Well, what was quite funny, Scotland fans in very good form tonight. As you say, you know, largely helped by the DJ's choice of tunes. When the referee, so you got the cheers when the pass was completed across the floor, but then when the ball bounced and just went splat in a puddle, there was a big, oh, like that.
And Ali, the match has been suspended. Television is now reporting that this, suspended rather than
not
suspended for now.
It has
That's
said
me
that for a
getting
while.
ahead of myself.
Yeah.
The match has been temporarily suspended. It may still yet get underway tonight.
It's the word cancelled is the one we're worrying about.
Yeah.
No, suspended for the moment. You look at the referee, and maybe I'm slightly biased, but the referee didn't want to do the passing there because the passing looked okay. He was desperate to do exactly what Roddy said there, which was bounce the ball, and it didn't bounce. And he went to the worst part. Now, it's fair enough if he feels that's enough for the game to be stopped. If the ball's not going to bounce correctly when it's put in an area, then he's got the right to actually say that. But most of the time, anything I've ever known in the past, it's to check how well the ball plays for passes. Because sometimes you do get a game that's a wee bit soggy, the ball doesn't bounce perfectly, but he will be the man who makes the decision, and we'll have to stick by it.
Would you be happy to play in it, James?
Yeah, I mean, if I was winning 1-0, I'd be wanting to play in it. But I mean, this was the situation before the game kicked off. You could see it the first time. It goes up to Lyndon Dykes, back to Andy Robertson. He tries to play a pass, and it stops. So the referee played nearly 10 minutes in those conditions. I would say it's improved. So if it was okay to play the first 10, then why can't we just go on with the game? The rain's stopped. Well, there's a little bit of drizzle now, but it's certainly better than what it was.
I've just seen another match official, Kelly, this fella in the blue coat, come onto the pitch and tell everyone with the brooms to get into both penalty areas at either end. So clearly the referee is most concerned about both penalty areas at either end of the pitch. They're saying don't bother with the rest of the pitch now. Get into those penalty areas, give it your best go, and we'll wait to hear what the referee decides from there.
They've also got
have
heaters.
Definitely been encouraged by this. Sorry, Roddy.
They've also got blow heaters that they've brought out. There's one of them in the penalty area.
Oh yeah, the leaf blower.
Yes,
you can see it spraying water across.
But the bad news is it's raining again.
I'll tell you what, Roddy, is get some straws out, just drink it.
They're getting cheered on as well by the crowd. As soon as they moved into the penalty area, they were getting cheered on to get the job done. So hopefully that gives them a little bit more adrenaline, a bit more energy to get it done.
And like you said, the crowd want this to go ahead, and the players, knowing that they're 1-0 up, will want to get this one over and done with. And even in terms of their preparation, they'll be match ready. They won't want this to go over into another day. This is enough of disruption.
Yeah, I mean the disruption will be there anyway because they've had to come off the pitch. They were ready. They were warm, ready to play the game. They won't be wanting to come back tomorrow. The players, they want to just get it done. Some of them might have their holidays booked, and the players as well have so little time off these days that they want to get this game played, get it out of the way, especially Scotland, the position they're in, what it means for the group, what it means for the bigger picture in terms of qualification. They're in a great position. They'll want to get the game finished. There's indoor warm-up areas. I'm sure they'll be knocking the ball about. They won't be just sitting about waiting to see what's happening. They'll be keeping themselves ticking over in the indoor area, but they will be desperate for this game to be played. You could see, the effort that's going into getting the water off the pitch. Everybody in here wants this game played. Maybe not the Georgians, but they have to come back tomorrow. So I would imagine they'll be the same. Get the job done. As long as the pitch is playable, they can get back on, and then they can, finish the game. They'll still be, hoping they can get back into it if it does go ahead. But I think everyone wants this game played tonight.
Roddy, you've been to so many Scotland games. Have you ever seen a situation like this?
Not at Hampden that I can remember. Never. There may have been somewhere away. There's so many is trying to track them down, but not at Hampden, despite the problems we've had with the pitch this season. The problems we've had with the pitch this season have mostly been to do with it being bumpy, being hard, being not giving enough. That was said during the Spain game. This is unprecedented in my experience.
And it's raining again.
It's raining again, but there's an update. 8:45, so in just over 5 minutes time, the players will go out and warm up. If the players are happy that the pitch is playable, the captains will speak to the officials and the game will kick off at 9 o'clock if the captains tell the officials that the players are happy to play in
It's
these
really
conditions.
pouring down now, though. Look at it.
And that's the problem, is how much it deteriorates after all the hard work that the ground staff have done to get the pitch playable. But the fans have just heard that this game could go ahead. So the players are out in 5 minutes' time. The game itself, if the players are happy, will go ahead in 20 minutes' time. And as we've been saying, they want this one to go ahead. Scotland leading by a 0-0 against Georgia. Just to outline the situation in terms of the qualifying group once again, Scotland have won their opening 3 games, including the victories against Spain, including that recent win against Norway in Oslo. So they come here tonight with a game against Georgia, knowing that a win would put them in a really, really comfortable position. Wouldn't guarantee anything, but it would put them in a really comfortable position in terms of qualifying for Euro 2024. There is an option that Scotland could qualify via the playoffs because they won their Nations League group, but they will not want to do that, will not want to have extra games in order to be able to reach the Euros in Germany next time around. So they will want to get this done, and there is a real opportunity because they do have that 1-goal advantage. But even from when Roddy was talking just a few minutes ago, the rain has got even heavier again. And as much and as quickly as the ground staff working on the pitch here are clearing it, it is falling even heavier. But they're really focused in the 2 penalty areas at either end of the pitch, trying to make sure that this game is finished tonight. It doesn't have to be finished tonight. It could be finished tonight. And Pat, you mentioned earlier, one of the reasons that the fans want this game to be played tonight is might not be able to come back tomorrow.
Many, I mean, a lot of the Scotland fans I was talking to before, they're having to take days off work, to come down from the Highlands. A lot come from the Highlands. Many people, come from abroad to come to these games, and they're only here for the day. They've got to fly away. Some people even come from England. So you have to get back down there tomorrow, and it's not going to be easy in these conditions. So no, it's really, really hard for everyone. It's painful if your ticket, you're allowed to use your ticket next day, but you can't actually use it. You can maybe give it away. Do you know the only positive thing for the Scotland fans? They've had a wee party anyway. I mean, and they do. I mean, isn't one of the nice things about modern football? Well, certainly the Scotland fans here. A lot of other places you get a lot of anger, fury, stress, pressure. Police would be worried. No, they're just having a big party. They're enjoying it, singing along with the song.
I think that I mentioned the players want to go on holiday. There might be a lot of people that have held off their holidays until tomorrow because of this game. So they've made it to come down, go to the game, get home, get ready to go on holiday, and they might not be able to make it tomorrow. That is a real big issue. Of course, for us it doesn't really matter because as long as the game's played, but for a lot of people in here it could be I'm only 20 minutes from here.
School holidays don't start till next week, so there's a bit of leeway.
Yeah, but it's cheaper to go on holiday at this time, Roddy, believe me.
Leave the kids locked in the cellar.
No, you just take them out of school. It's just cheaper. Your flights are cheaper, so there'll be a lot of people maybe going on holiday.
That's not the BBC's position, James.
We've never done that. No one's ever done that we know about.
What I'm missing?
Well, the roar that you can hear here at Hampden is because the Scotland players are out. They have 2 or 3 balls between them. They're going to try and make sure whether or not they can get the ball being passed around, whether it's running on the pitch, and it's sticking a bit, Pat.
Do you know what? I think the important thing was what you said earlier. The captains, plural, have to agree. And if I was Georgian just now, in all honesty, if you play tomorrow, you're much better position, much better situation. I think they'll be desperate to get this off. I wouldn't be surprised if the captain just demands that they don't play as soon as they start.
Could be the first time we ever commentate on a warm-up ahead of a football match.
That's exactly what we're going to do, because we're not just going to concentrate on the warm-up, we're going to detail intricately the movement of the ball across this waterlogged pitch. Yes, sir, I can boogie is now on the thing.
It's better though. It is better. The ball is moving much better in large parts, but it only has to be unplayable in a couple of bits. That's the problem. But most of the passing is working absolutely fine. Much better than it was before.
And they're still working on that penalty area down towards our right. So they're going to... I I think this is extraordinary what's happening here in Hampden tonight, because these are fans who've been held back for well over half an hour, coming up to 45 minutes now, waiting to see whether or not this game is going to go ahead. They've only seen less than 10 minutes of football, and they've stayed here. The large part of them have said that they are going to be staying here. They've stayed in their seats. They're waiting for the game to take place. And, Ali, you have an update.
Well, I'm just looking at the screen in front of me. We're watching the sort of television coverage of the match on our replay monitor, and a little graphic's gone up that says match will resume at 7:55 GMT. So obviously that's 8:55 our time, but that's what they're saying at the moment. So that is in 12 minutes time. But I've not seen the referee call the captains together to have that discussion we thought they were going to have. But as you say, Pat, just watching the Scotland players knocking the ball around, it is now skidding across the surface, isn't it? It's not stopping dead in its tracks. And actually, even in that 6-yard box, watching the Scotland keepers warm up, the ball continues to roll. It's okay. The rain continues to fall, though, as well. That's the problem.
I would say that the Georgian warm-up doesn't look like an extreme one to me. That looks like a bunch of players who are going to say, we don't fancy this.
Token gesture, Pat, isn't it?
It's a token, absolutely. We need to be seen to do a wee bit. No one's gone even close to a jog yet. They're not passing the ball. They're not attempting to pass the ball. They don't want to play it. And if there's any way I think they can get us stopped, they will. But if the referee says it's good enough and says, well, actually, I'm not going to ask you, you can do that as well.
I'm just looking at that penalty area that we keep mentioning over to our right-hand side, and I think if there is going to be a problem area, in my by no means expertise, my no means expert opinion, that looks like, just purely because of the number of ground staff that are in there and the amount of water that is in there, that looks like it's going to be the problem area.
Kelly, how long have they been brushing over there?
Since the beginning.
That's where they started.
And they're still brushing massive amounts of water over what is like just the 6-yard area, and it's not gone away yet.
Do you think it's a rainy day in Georgia?
Oh.
What was that, Roddy?
Do you think it's a rainy day in Georgia? That's my best song selection for the night.
Do you know what? That has to go to the top of the playlist. We need that one on there, because he's played an absolute blinder, the DJ inside the stadium tonight, in terms of keeping everybody going, in terms of theming them. But they're now back into the Scotland fan classics and trying to build the team off. He's had Baccarat on with Yes Sir I Can Boogie. He's now got Freed From Desire by Gala. And you just feel like the next one is going to be no Scotland, no party. But you put it best earlier, Pat, which is there might be a party, but there might not be a Scotland at the end of all these pitching sections.
I mean, again, they're just to make the best of it. That's the way the Scotland fans have generally been. The real shame is, a number of years ago, we could have played Georgia here and we could have had 20,000 in here, 18,000 in here. This place is completely mobbed. As I say, it's a party. I'm just gutted. They should have played wet leg. I played them earlier.
Referee and his team of officials, his two assistants, coming out at the moment to initially go for their pre-match warm-up, and again you can see the water spray coming up with each step they take as they run across the halfway line. I mean, if there is no game this evening, I might even get away with not having to read out the Georgian starting 11. I can do some.
You've had plenty of time to practice now, Ali. You can go for it now.
If you wanted to go for it now,
I'm all right, thanks.
But look, we talked before the game about when the players were warming up, we talked about the amount of water that was being kicked up as they ran. Now this isn't anywhere near as much as we saw earlier on, but there is still spray coming off the officials' booth, particularly around the edges of the pitches, around the edge of the pitch, and the fans, I think, are booing the officials as they make their way around.
I think they were booing the Georgian player going over trying to nobble the officials. That's what they're booing, yeah. And you just get the feeling you'll get two groups of players warming up. One group of players wants this game to on, and one group of players have decided if they can get it, they won't play it. But that's a chance, isn't it? If they take that chance and they're not fully warmed up yet, and the referee demands they play, that's not a good position.
I think if it is that the captains are going to be consulted, what it looks like is there's no way the Georgia captain's going to agree to play this game, because they've not really warmed up. They're knocking the ball about, but they're looking for puddles. They're trying to get it so it drops and stops, so they can get more of an excuse. They're throwing the ball up in the air to try and get it to stop. They've missed a puddle there. Look, I'll try and find one. And they just keep trying to find reasons for this game to be postponed. Now I don't know what the situation is in terms, I know the game has to be played. Georgians will have their travel booked home. Will they make that excuse that they can't change it and therefore they need to go and then play the game at a later date? I don't know, but it does look like they don't want to play this game.
The very edges of the pitch, and the officials are just making their way in front of us here, just crossing the halfway line as they run around the perimeter. Those edges look quite soggy at the moment, and they're out there, the officials, but you wouldn't expect them to be passing a ball between them, but they haven't yet run a ball over the surface. That's the decision, or that part of the decision looks like it's going to be made by the players and then relayed to their captains.
Yeah, I mean, they'll leave it as late as you can. The referee has update. The referees and the assistant referees are the goalkeepers try to show them that it's unplayable. The referees are down at the worst part of the pitch just now, and they're getting nobbled by the goalkeeper again now.
He lobbed that, he threw that up as high as he could, looking for the biggest splash and splat possible, didn't he? To try and persuade the referees. I mean, he's bouncing that ball in the 6-yard box from shoulder height, and it's not getting above his ankles as it falls. It's incredibly wet in that 6-yard box away to the right-hand side.
And in the 6-yard box to the left-hand side, there are reinforcements being sent in to try and clear a bit more of the water from over there. But you get it's not where the Scotland players are warming up. They're warming up more in the centre of the pitch, where it is a lot drier and a lot more playable.
The referee's just rolled a ball from about the penalty spot towards the goal line, and the Georgian goalkeeper's hoping that it's going to stop, but it just rolled in, and that's why all the Scotland fans are cheering.
It's actually ridiculous now. The Georgian keeper, he's not actually hiding it now, is he? There's no pretense anymore. They're clearly desperate to get this off. The Georgian keeper in particular, more than anyone else, is making it clear to the referee that he thinks it's unplayable.
So the Scotland players are in a huddle. They look like they're ready for this game to restart. They've just gathered themselves right in the centre of the half of the pitch that they will be defending once this game gets underway. They've pulled away, clapping their hands, encouraging each other, and now they're passing the ball between themselves in what, it has to be said, is the driest area and the freest flowing area of the pitch, and that's where they focus themselves. Meanwhile, the Georgian players are also in a circle in the end of the ground, but Ray will be defending, and there's some very half-hearted warm-ups and stretches going on there.
I wouldn't be surprised if they grab one of those squeegees and try to put the water back on the pitch, because they've tried everything else.
The Scotland national football team's Twitter feed, just reading that, Kelly, so this is a recent tweet, just saying what was going to happen. Both sets of players have returned to the pitch for a 10-minute warm-up. Following that, the match will restart at 9 o'clock if the match official is satisfied with the pitch conditions. So that doesn't mention consulting the two captains. That says if the referee feels it's okay, he will say, I'm sorry, but you're going to have to play. Scotland are ready to play. They want to play. They're almost in match formation and ready to go. All the people helping with the mops and the brushes now are in Scotland's penalty area away to our left, working on that 6-yard box. And at the moment, in the Georgian half, away to the right, their players just kicking their heels and dragging their feet inside that half, and the Georgian goalkeeper going through a few warm-ups on his touchline. The referee, I think, and his assistants have just gone back in to the changing rooms, and we're waiting for them to reappear.
Roddy, there are some reports across several outlets this evening that should the match not be completed this evening, it could be played tomorrow, not here at Hampden, but at St Mirren, and that would be because presumably not everybody would be able to get along, and that could potentially be an alternative way to get this game finished.
I am surprised at that, because I would have thought the SFA's motivation would have been principally to get as many of the supporters back with their ticket stubs and allow them back in. And it would be also difficult to play at St Mirren with the amount of media and the media facilities that are required. So I'm very surprised to hear that.
It is only reports at the moment, and at the moment the supporters, the Scotland players, seem to want this game to go ahead. The Georgian players less so, Pat.
Do you know the other thing, if you're Georgian, don't muck about here. You might have to start this game. And even if you start it and Scotland play another 10-15 minutes, if you're not up, you could be 2-0 down, and then it might get suspended then you play it tomorrow and you're 2-0 down. Get your heads right. Don't, I mean, if I was their manager, I'd be saying, right, okay, probably try all we can to get this game stopped, but if we don't, be ready. Do not write it off by being unprofessional and just jogging about there. So I mean, at the moment it's a bit livelier from the Georgians out there warming up, but I think Scotland are ready. But how weird is this? I mean, it's over an hour now since, around about an hour since the game was supposed to have started.
And in that hour,
it's weird warm-ups and things like that, isn't it?
And in that hour, they haven't played Here Comes the Rain again.
Every time. Have you just got a whole playlist there?
In my head.
Hey, one of my favourite ones isn't a well-known one, but it's a band called the Blue Nile from Glasgow, and their song Tinseltown in the Rain is about Glasgow.
Yes.
Shall we have Adele set fire to the rain? That would be a solution.
We could definitely have that one. There are plenty, and do you know what? If you want to keep in touch with the @5 Live Twitter feed, then you can make suggestions of your own. Let's take a moment here, because this game hasn't yet got underway again, having been suspended. We're waiting to see what happens. The players are out on the pitch warming up. They're still squeezing the last few drops of water, particularly off the penalty areas. We'll let you know what happens after we've got the headlines, the BBC News headlines, with Carl Hartley.
Listen on BBC Sounds. This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
Thanks, Kelly. Rescue teams are racing against time to find a submersible that went missing near the wreck of the Titanic. The US Coast Guard estimates that the passengers have about 40 hours of oxygen left. Our correspondent, Carl Nasman, who's in Boston, says officials know the clock is ticking.
Even if this submersible had come up to the surface and is waiting for a rescue craft to reach it, they're not able to open the submersible from the inside. There's 17 bolts, and that is simply because you want to make this as watertight as possible, especially at those depths. So whether it's below the ocean, whether it's above the ocean, this vessel needs to be found.
The judge in Prince Harry's privacy trial has questioned why Piers Morgan and nearly 30 other journalists have not given evidence at the High Court. Mr Justice Fancourt said Mr Morgan, the former editor of the Daily Mirror, recently had a good deal to say about phone hacking outside the court. The Church of England has announced plans for what it calls a broad and generous compensation scheme for survivors of sexual, emotional and spiritual abuse. Some victims fear the process could be traumatic and take years to complete. Elizabeth Duncan is an abuse lawyer.
They're talking big promises, they're talking holistic, they're talking inclusive, but without details, this could be sort of, all talk and no delivery. So I am quite concerned. It would be nice to know some more details and see if it really can deliver what it promises.
England's former Chief Medical Officer Dame Sally Davis has apologised to families who lost loved ones to coronavirus. Speaking at the COVID inquiry, she said the UK didn't have enough resilience to cope with the pandemic, with fewer doctors, nurses or hospital beds than similar countries. And a social media influencer who stalked footballers Mason Mount and Billy Gilmore has avoided jail after being given a 12-month suspended sentence. Orla Sloan, who's 21, admitted another charge of harassing Chelsea and England left-back Ben Chilwell.
Wimbledon. Coming soon on 5 Live and Radio 5 Sports Extra and across the BBC.
This is 5 Live Sport with Kelly Cates.
Good evening and welcome back to a very soggy Hampden Park for Scotland against Georgia. Scotland leads by a 1-0. It came from Callum McGregor after 6 minutes. After 7 minutes, the game was stopped because there has been torrential rain in Glasgow today. Most of it fell within a half-hour, 45-minute period leading up to kick-off. There was spray coming off the players' boots. The ball was holding up in a waterlogged surface, and the pitch, after 7 minutes, was deemed unplayable, and they were unable to carry on with the game. Since then, we've had 2 or 3 pitch inspections. The players have been out for a warm-up. The Scotland players have been passing it between themselves and the centre of the half that they'll be defending should the game continue. The Georgian players, with, it has to be said, a slightly more half-hearted warm-up at the other end of the pitch. Because they are trailing by a 0-0, will be less keen to get this one underway. The game itself has to have the next minute played.
Kelly, it looks as though the game's off because we were watching some of the Scotland players coming off and shaking their head after being told by the manager.
Do you know what I think's happened, Kelly? I think Georgia will say we're not playing. I think they've walked. I do think they've walked.
Surely you can't do that if the referee makes a decision.
I mean, if they've walked and with a disagreement with the referee saying you should play the game, there should be repercussions. But remember, Estonia, there were no repercussions, were there? Scotland had to replay that game.
They were made to play in Monte Carlo. That was the penalty in that particular time. It was very bad for the Tartan Army. They hated having to go there.
Oh, so it might be okay for us then. So get the flight split and we'll head off tomorrow.
I mean, if the referee has consulted with the captains, if that was the plan and the Georgian captain has said no, we don't want to play, that's one thing. But if it's the referee's decision and he says yes, we're playing, and Georgia say well, we're not, that's different. I mean, they should face repercussions for that because they're being told so we need to get that clear.
There is still very heavy sweeping taking place in the penalty area to our left, where there is a group of ground staff who are pushing the water off with squeegee large brooms to try and make sure that is playable. But as we've said, the players coming off from that warm-up, from that trial session, shaking their heads. We do not have an official decision as things stand, but there was a possibility that this game would get underway at 9 o'clock if the players were happy for them to do so. It is 9 o'clock now, and there is no sign of a player or an official on the pitch here at Hampden.
Do you know, the question is now, is it playable or isn't it playable? I think it's playable now. It's imperfect, it's not brilliant, but I think it's playable. I think levels of danger are miles away from what Paddy was saying there a few minutes ago. They're nowhere near where they were when this game started for the first 6 or 7 minutes, but here we go.
Just to update you once again, the schedule is as follows. The game is scheduled to restart at 9:15.
So the announcement here at Hampden Park is that the game is scheduled to start at 9:15. So in 15 minutes time, they are planning to get this game ahead. But as Ali, Pat, James, Roddy, as you're listening to this announcement, we can hear that it's a positive one with the Scotland fans. But are you frowning because you can't quite hear what's being said, or is there a caveat to that? Because I can't hear it.
No, I think it just said the game would restart. There was a mixed reaction from the crowd because they're having to wait, but there was a few cheering because they're thinking, well, at least it's going to kick off. So I think that, you know, it looks like the decision has been made to restart the game, which is a positive. Okay, we have to wait a little bit longer, but if that means the game kicks off and we get a finish tonight, then brilliant, bring it on.
My suspicion is they've decided to play, Georgians have decided not to play. There's a possibility of that, so they've got 15 minutes to try and talk them into it. It gets very political in these sort of situations, you know, when the Georgians say it's too dangerous, and they've got an argument there. They have got an argument there that they don't want our players to get injured, and if God forbid they did go out and play and someone did get injured because of a poor penalty area, then that would be bad news.
Or maybe, Pat, it's the referees just decided, look, I can see there's progress, I don't care how long, we have to wait until we get this to a position where everyone's happy, because I know we've made the point that Georgia can't just decide not to play the game, but if they don't feel 100% safe, then you have to back that decision by the Georgians. You can look at it cynically and say, well, they're a goal down anyway, but it was like 8-9 minutes into the game, they would have had belief coming back in. So hopefully it's good officiating for the referee to say, look, we've had a jog around, we've seen the ball get knocked about, another 15 minutes and that should be cleared and we should be good to go. So, and then, you know, hopefully the rain stays off and you get uninterrupted play.
As Pat said, Georgia have totally wasted that warm-up time. I mean, they had no intention really of wanting to restart this game tonight. That could cost them if we kick off at 9:15 and play to a finish. I'm not sure they're going to be in the right frame of mind for this game. It's a great opportunity for Scotland. They're 1-0 up to go after them.
You see the body language anyway, the Scotland players. They come out, first of all, they're knocking the ball about, they want to test it, but they're zipping it, they're hitting it fast, they're trying to see that, can we get a pass? The Georgians are a bit slow, laboured, they're hitting it slow, they're knocking up in the air, they want to find a puddle, they want to look for a way out of this game, whereas Scotland are looking for a way to get into this game, for the game to be played. So already the mentality is for Scotland, get the game on, let's get it done, we'll win the game. Georgia's like, maybe not tonight, we'll maybe try our luck tomorrow. If not tomorrow, then we'll fit it into a window, whether it's in September, October or November.
One thing I think is vitally important here. Alistair read out the ruling before that the game restarts 1-0, as it is. We need to make sure that's the case. If not enough of the game's been played and they make a suggestion, no, the game should start from the beginning again because it was a farce, that changes everything. But the rules seem quite clear the way you read them out there, Alistair.
Yeah, I hadn't actually crossed my mind, Pat. I was thinking if we get match scheduled to resume means pick up at the point from which it left off, not restart, doesn't it? So I mean, I know I'm sort of playing around with language there,
but I mean, if it's tomorrow.
Yeah.
If it's rescheduled for tomorrow.
What you're saying is if Georgia and the Georgia players say that opening 7 minutes was farcical and we don't think it should stand as a valid 7 minutes.
They will argue that.
And you can understand why they would do it. Do you think that they have a right to feel aggrieved that the game was played at all in those circumstances?
Yeah, that's why I made the point that you make that decision at 0-0, and then if the referee decides, look, we'll start again, and we'll start on 0, and we can work our way up, then at 0-0 everybody's more agreeable to it. The fact that Scotland have gone in front, and Pat made the point, both sets of teams have had to play in it. Georgia almost got an opportunity where a tame shot that was going wide that almost held up, allowing one of the Georgians to get in and potentially create an opportunity due to the conditions. The Scotland goal had nothing to do with the conditions. The ball came in, it broke. Callum McGregor was first to react. He got there quick, and it was a good finish. And the goalkeeper couldn't keep it out the back of the net. Nothing to do with surface water, nothing to do with puddles on the pitch. Just good anticipation, a good finish. So they should have made the decision straight away. Really, you could see it was never going to go anywhere. The referee has to say, right, hang fire, half an hour, we'll kick off at 15:15.
We both thought immediately, no, this game shouldn't carry on. It took the referee a wee bit too long for it, but he's given it a chance. It is infuriating though, because even for Scotland's point of view, the Georgians, you do feel a deal of sympathy for them just now. It's horrible to be involved in that, and they've had a stinker of a start because of it. They would argue. But I'm looking at Scotland just now. We've had such a brilliant run. Hopefully when we come back out, be it today or tomorrow, we've got the same attitude again. But well, maybe you've got another day's rest if it was tomorrow. That would actually help Scotland.
Even if it resumes, the Scotland players would have noticed the Georgians warming up. The coaching staff without doubt would have noticed the warm up. They'll be in there saying they don't want to play this game. Make sure you go out and start fast. Make sure you get the next goal and get it quick, and make sure that they're desperate to come off but their excuses aren't there because the pitch is playable. But make sure you start fast because they don't want to play the game. That will definitely have been picked up on.
Either way, assuming this game does go ahead at 9:15, it will not finish until about 11 o'clock. Quite a number of people seem to have left because otherwise they wouldn't be able to get home. So that's a disadvantage for Scotland. The crowd does seem to have decreased.
Understandably, because it is going to be, as you say, an extremely late finish here at Hampden. If, as we now expect, the game gets underway at 9:15, so about 8 minutes time, this game between Scotland and Georgia, with Scotland leading by a 0-0, will go ahead with 7 minutes of the game, of course, already played in that torrential rain and that extremely waterlogged pitch here at Hampden. So 8 minutes or so to go until it resumes here at Hampden Park, we hope. In the meantime, we can bring you an interview from St George's Park. The Lionesses began their training ahead of the World Cup today that gets underway in Australia and New Zealand on the 20th of July. Rachel Daly's been speaking with Ria Chowan.
Well, Rachel, I saw that clip of you jumping out on Millie Bright. I half wondered if that was the reason she wasn't out there today, but fair to say you're excited to be back in camp, especially for this one?
Yeah, definitely. It's a massive tournament for us. Who doesn't want to be a part of a World Cup squad playing for your country? So, yeah, delighted to be back.
And what's the atmosphere been like today? Because understandably there's excitement in this group, because this is the one. I mean, it almost feels like the World Cup starts here, doesn't it?
Yeah, of course. Obviously, the first game, July 22nd, that's where we're focused for, working towards. But, yeah, it's exciting to be back in camp, be with everyone, and, yeah, starting to build the foundations of what's to come.
You had such a fantastic season in the WSL, Golden Boot and all of that. What does that do for your confidence coming into a camp like this?
Yeah, thank you, by the way. Yeah, I think I found a place where I'm at my happiest. Carla at club has believed in me, Serena believes in me here, and it obviously gives you confidence. But I'm just playing with a smile on my face, enjoying my football, and I think that's kind of where I've found my happy place again. I moved back home, and it was for the best for me, and yeah, just excited to be back in the WSL and playing here regularly.
So you're at your happiest. Do you think you're in the form of your career as well?
Yeah, it'd be hard to argue against that. Yeah, like you said, it's been great for me to get the Golden Boot. It's, you know, as a striker, that's your job, and that's what you push for and you work towards every day. Obviously, a lot of things has changed in my career in the last few years. So yeah, I think so.
I guess people who maybe don't follow the WSL will be looking at you and thinking, hang on, she was the starting fullback for the Euros and now she's playing up front. Is it conceivable that you could drop back there at any point? Are those conversations that you've had? Or are you very much now a striker in this team?
Yeah, I'm sure conversations will be hard, but you know, my confidence is absolutely with Serena. You know, she's an absolute legend in the game, and there's a reason why she's does so well in the managerial position. She knows I'm open to play in any position she needs me to play in, but again, I'm just enjoying where I'm at the minute, and whatever happens, happens.
Obviously the squad's changed quite a bit since the Euros. Players out injured, retirements obviously. How does the squad feel now? How do you think it's changed? It's obviously got younger, but as now one of the more experienced players in the squad, do you think that's changed your role at all in all this?
Maybe a little bit. Obviously, I think I'm the second oldest in the team right now, which is a weird one for me. But no, there's so many leaders in this team, and I think everyone's got a voice. It's everybody's voice is heard. Some people's maybe more than others, but I think we've got sort of a foundation and an environment where you speak if you want to speak, and you know, there's no judgment if you don't. And I think we've got great characters in this group, and obviously we've missed a lot of. We're going to be missing Jill, Ellen, you know, the older players that left last year and retired, and then obviously Leah is a big presence in the leadership. But we've got leaders stepping in, and yeah, I think it's a great group.
And do you look around this squad in the change room and do you think, yeah, this is a team that could win back-to-back trophies, that could win the World Cup?
I don't think anyone's sort of looking at that right now. Obviously we know what we've got to do in the tournament and leading up to the tournament, but I think right now we're focused on getting back in, playing football after some nice time off, and working towards, again, building the foundations for the 22nd of July.
Do you feel like you have had enough time off? Obviously it's been a talking point around the build up to this camp. The clubs wanted to keep hold of you all for a little bit longer, but as players, did you ever feel caught in the middle of that? Do you feel like you've had enough rest?
I personally feel like I have. For me, I've had a lovely time off, holiday, much needed downtime, but you know, this date wasn't just randomly picked out the air for us to train and come back in. It was something that again has been spoken about for probably a year with the backroom staff, the physical performance team, and you know, there's proof in it. But I personally feel like we're in a great place to, you know, we've had a couple of weeks off and to get back ready to go and ready to start.
And just finally from me, there's been a report out today, a survey of women's players, and it's speaking about poor conditions in the build-up to qualifying for this World Cup in different countries. So things like a lack of access to healthcare, no pay, that kind of thing. When you hear stories like that, does that make you reflect on what you've got here at England? Because it seems like looking around and looking at the facilities that you have, that you really want for nothing.
Of course, I think we're extremely privileged. We're in a great position. You've got to thank the people before us for putting us in that position. We wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for the legends that left their mark before us. It's extremely sad to hear the conditions that some of the countries may be in, facilities and everything like that, and healthcare especially. But I'm really hoping that, I think we're all hopeful that, you know, something will be put in place for them, whether UEFA, FIFA, whoever it may be, to help them and, let them achieve and be the best that they can be in good conditions.
That was Ria Chowan speaking to Rachel Daly ahead of England's training camp, ahead of the World Cup. It gets underway in Australia and New Zealand on the 20th of July, and you can follow it on 5 Live Sport. Elsewhere in football, Chelsea have signed France striker Christopher Nkunku from RB Leipzig for £52 million. And West Ham have rejected a second bid from Arsenal for midfielder Declan Rice. We are at Hampden Park, where the game might be getting underway between Scotland and Georgia. Scotland 1-0 up. They played 7 minutes, then the game was suspended because of a waterlogged pitch. It was almost impossible and potentially dangerous playing conditions. The reason I say might is because while the game is scheduled to start and the Scotland players are out on the pitch ready to go, there's still a bit of last minute forking and squeezing of water off this pitch, but there are no officials and there are no Georgia players as yet. We've been asking you for your rain-related songs because the DJ here has played an absolute blinder in keeping the crowd spirits up and playing all his rain-related songs. Jamie Lyle on Twitter may well have won it with "Yes, sir, I can squeegee,"
Very good.
which I think that might be the one.
Kelly, I think we've got a problem here. I don't think Georgia are coming out. I mean, we are meant to be kicking off in less than a minute. Scotland have been out there for 3 or 4 minutes. They are ready to go. As you just said, the referee is not here. The assistant referees are not here. But crucially, Georgia are not here. And the way they walked off after that warm-up when the players came back out, Pat immediately said, they're finished. They don't want to play. I think there might be discussions going on down there trying to persuade Georgia to play this game. The Scotland manager, Steve Clarke, is out. Scotland are ready to go. Roddy Forsyth said it. Ron Jones' famous line, there's only one team in Tallinn. At the moment, it's such a striking image. In the left-hand half of the field at Hampden Park, we have a team that is ready to play football, that is ready to play this qualifier tonight, and that is Scotland. Georgia are not here. There is no sign of Georgia on this pitch. The half they are defending in this first half has just got 6 people with the squeegee mops away to the right. So we got a problem here.
They have got no right really not to play. They've got a right to start and say, no, this isn't good enough. They've not tried it yet. They've not had an attempt at it yet. If the referee has said, which he clearly has said, this game goes ahead. And if they've said that, I mean, UEFA have to be very strong in this.
We have
really
passed kick-off time, Pat. We have now passed kick-off time.
So I have to say, when they walked off, before Scotland walked off they had a look at the team, and the manager said, we are not playing tonight.
When they walked on for the warm-up.
Yeah, even before that.
They were like, right, we'll go out
didn't
because they
fancy
have
it.
to.
I think that changed from doesn't fancy it to refusing at that point in time. But, you know, they put them under pressure. Scotland have to stay out. They have to keep them putting under pressure until the officials come out and cancel the game.
Word from the tunnel via the television, via Play, we're covering the game this evening, are exactly as you suggested, Pat, which is that Georgia are refusing to come out of their dressing rooms. We have to ask the question, and at this stage, while it's still all potential and theoretical, we don't have the answer, but the question will have to be asked to whether, if they're refusing to play in playable conditions, whether they could end up forfeiting this game.
You would think, it's a referee's decision. I know that, Alan read the rules out. The referee will make the decision whether it's playable, speak to both captains, and then make that decision. But the work that's been put in to get the majority of the surface water off the pitch would then leave it up to the referee. If the referee deems it playable and safe, then Georgia's refusal to play would mean that UEFA have to take action on it.
It could get worse too, because presumably Georgia haven't booked any accommodation in Glasgow tonight. Normally the teams fly straight home. If they fly home without finishing this fixture, what happens then? This is a major problem for UEFA, because they could refuse to come back.
Kelly, the mood in the stadium, as I think people can hear, is changing. So you've still got the music playing, but now the Scotland fans can see the Scotland players standing, just staring down the tunnel saying, where are you, Georgia? Just trying to encourage them to come out and play this game. Now they're applauding. The referee's appeared with a match ball under his arm. So that suggests that Georgia might follow. Is he coming out to show the Georgian team that he is happy with these conditions?
He's going to test that penalty area again.
Yeah.
They've obviously found an area
they're
they're
complaining about
with.
their penalty area.
Yes.
That's what it is.
So as the referee makes his way over to that penalty area, he's kicking up a little bit of water, and he's got the ball, he's kicking the ball. Is he about to try and drop it? I think he's making the point very visibly and demonstrated that this is playable, and the crowd are loving it.
But Kelly, where are we? Where are we in football? If the referee has already made a decision tonight saying it's playable, let's go. Georgia have said we're not happy. He comes back out to reassess his decision. If he changes his mind now and says, no, you're right, Georgia, we won't play the game, well, then where does that end? I mean, that would be crazy.
Well, that's how UEFA deal with it then, isn't it? Because if the referee then comes out and says it's not playable, look, we're saying that we don't think Georgia fans
the ball into the back of the net.
They're trying to hit the referee. The Scotland players have to show him, look, the ball is moving. But I understand if Georgia have serious concerns about the safety, then I understand that. If you're not 100%, then you've got a right not to play. But if the referee deems the pitch playable and safe to play, they have to play the game.
Andy Robertson is imploring the referee there. The referee just got marching past Andy Robertson. Andy Robertson had both his palms out saying, come on, what are you doing here? We're here to play a game of football. I'm not sure.
In the simplest terms, if they were coming out now and starting the game as normal, this game would go ahead.
BBC Radio Scotland's Jane Lewis is pitchside here at Hampden Stadium. Jane, you're on the touchline. You're watching what's happening between the players. Steve Clarke is out there, the coaching staff are out there, the officials are on and off the pitch. No sign of Georgia yet. What are you hearing and what are you seeing?
Yeah, it's pretty bedlam down here, to be honest with you. As you can see, Kelly, the Scottish players are out on the pitch. They're ready for this game to restart. It was meant to restart at 9:15 if the rain had stayed away. So far, the rain has stayed away, and both teams have decided that they were up for this game going ahead. Of course, the referee would have the final decision on that. I can tell you right now that Georgia are not happy at all. They do not want this game to restart because the president of the Georgia FA, their football association, having quite a heated debate, it has to be said, with some of the officials down here, the UEFA officials. He does not want this game to take place. Their captain came out with a towel wrapped around him as well. He also was trying to put their argument forward as well for this game not to go ahead. You understand now that the president and Ian Maxwell, the SFA president, is in talking to his opposite number, just trying to calm things down and trying to get to the bottom of this. I've just seen a couple of people walk past me with their thumbs up down here. I don't know whether that means that the Georgia players are about to come out. There is a little bit of activity down here in the tunnel. The rain has stayed off.
Jane, Steve Clarke is holding up both hands, indicating 10 minutes to the Scotland players, so it might well be. I know you can't quite see it. We've got that on our monitors in front of us.
Yeah, I've just been told, Kelly, that it's a half-past kickoff. The game is going ahead at half-past.
Jane, thank you very much for that. This game that has been delayed and delayed again. The Georgia players have refused to come out of the dressing room. As Jane was just telling us, there have been heated conversations, as she called them, between the head of the Georgian FA and UEFA officials to say the players did not want the game to go ahead. They did not want the game to go ahead. But they are saying now it will go ahead at 9:30, and that has to be it now, don't you think? That they have to say this game is played, and if you don't play it, then according to Article 28 of UEFA's rules, if a club refuses to play or is responsible for a match not taking place or not being played in full, the UEFA Control, Ethics and Disciplinary Body declares the match forfeited by the club concerned. Moreover, if the circumstances of the case so justify, the UEFA Control, Ethics and Disciplinary Body may impose any further disciplinary measures deemed appropriate on the club concerned, including disqualification from the competition. They go on to say the UEFA Control, Ethics and Disciplinary Body can validate the result as it stood at the moment when the match was abandoned if the result was to the detriment of the club responsible for the match being abandoned. So the fact that Georgia are trailing by 1-0, if they then refuse to play in this game in conditions which are deemed playable by the Scotland squad, by the officials, by UEFA themselves, then there is a potential that they could forfeit the match at 1-0, and that scoreline will stand.
And Pat was just making the point, Kelly, is absolutely spot on. If this game, if we wound the clock back and these were the conditions for the 7:45 kickoff, it absolutely starts and gets played with no problem. We should have kicked off at 9:15. Clearly, Georgia's players and the president of the FA has been told that, haven't they? If you don't come out and play this game, then you're going to forfeit this game. And look, they're in a decent position in this group, and they've been in decent form recently, so it would be crazy for them to do that. I think this could be quite spicy now. I mean, you heard the reaction of the Scotland fans that it got pushed back even further, but I think that's going to fire the Scotland players up even more. I think we could have quite a tasty game on our hands here.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. Excuse me.
You've talked for a long time, I'll be honest.
Georgia refusing to play this game. The discussion with the president of the Georgian FA would surely be around what's the consequences of us forfeiting. Now you look at the game in itself, they lose the game. They're also almost giving up their chances of qualifying for the Euros. So
and
they have to play the game.
Georgia, as you might be able to hear.
Well, they finally decided to come out. I wouldn't be very surprised if some of the players had got half changed and put their jeans back on or whatever they're wearing back on, but they've been made to come out, and they know that they've been given the ruling. The referee's made the decision. Look, if they have a go now and it's clearly not playable in certain areas of the pitch, fine, call the game off, we'll all accept it, and that's okay, and I won't argue with that, and I think the Georgians are fine with that, but they have wasted 15, 20, maybe 30 minutes refusing to come on and take part in it just now.
The Scotland fans around us are not only vocally making their feelings heard, but also in terms of gestures, quite visibly annoyed with this Georgian side who are coming out here at Hampden today. And as you say, that could add extra spice to this game. And actually, the Georgian players are out. Again, it's a very low-key warm-up from them, but the Scotland players, it's only the reserves who are out here warming up at the moment, the substitutes who are out here warming up at the moment, but Georgia are out here and they're kind of going through the motions of a warm-up with 5 minutes to go until the game's due to get underway.
Yeah, that's one thing. Here's another thing. Stevie Clarke's been really noted recently of how to get his players prepped, and all the different times and all the different moments in the celebrations the other night in Oslo, and allowing them a little bit of time to really enjoy it and then calming them down again. Have you ever, as a manager, had to go and get your players prepped in this way? It's extraordinary, purely for the physical side of it, make sure you're still right, all the way through, just nicely turning over, but also psychologically right as well. Don't start diving in and sliding into tackles. Don't get upset by the Georgians. Just play your own game at this point in time when it starts.
I think because it's so early in the game, it'll just be a case of, try to use that old mind trick of still 0-0, start the game the exact same way. It's not as if you're getting to 70, 80 minutes and you're having to go and warm up again, the stiffness kicks in, you'll still be fresh to go and play. I understand why the Scotland fans are booing the Georgia players. If it was me, I'd be just applauding them, just saying, yeah, well done, let's go, just get on with the game, because you don't want to give them any motivation. Not that it looks like they're going to get any motivation with a warm-up, but just make sure they don't get too angry, because the Scotland players are fully aware they don't want to play this game. They'll be fired up for it. Just want Georgia to go through the motions, get this game done and go.
But Paddy, don't you just know, a lot of those Scotland fans are looking down thinking, you lot stopped me getting my last train home.
Yeah.
Or are you a lot of
no, I totally understand. I would be booing them as well. I'm just trying to play devil's advocate a little bit.
So the SFA have tweeted, the match official has decided that the game will go ahead at 9:30, which is, yes, we're willing to play, but also puts the ball very firmly in UEFA's court if Georgia decides that they don't want to or refuse to play in this game. It then starts to increase the possibility of them forfeiting the match.
Right,
at 1-0
well, they're stupid if they don't start, right? Start and make it look silly. Fall over and slip over and, pass into the worst areas. Do that. And that's fair enough. That's just, gamesmanship, that's part of it. But walking off and trying to press gang the result in your direction, that's not a good idea just now. So they're in a bad position now, Georgia. They must get this game started, but I wouldn't be surprised if they're also very keen to get it stopped as well quite soon afterwards.
Talking about getting it started, just to credit the DJ one more time, when we were just about to go at 9:15 but Georgia weren't there, it was let's get it started in here. He's played a blinder. He or she has played a blinder.
And they've kept this whole crowd, pretty much everybody is here, and actually some of the seats that we were talking about earlier on have actually started to fill up a bit. It might just be people taking a break, maybe going and getting a drink down in the concourses, or taking a small comfort break, or whatever it is that they need to do, because it is still a very healthy crowd inside Hampden, Roddy.
And when you think that the game will start when it should have finished, that's extraordinary. Everybody's timetable is out of joint tonight. There's going to be a fair few kids, I think, will have a great excuse for not being at school in the morning.
By the way, I'm very confused with something right now. That's Scotland.
2 minutes to kick off.
Yes, 2 minutes to kick off, and it's only the subs who are out warming up. The Scotland players themselves are not there. They do know, or certainly the SFA know, we're starting up with the Proclaimers. You wonder if Scotland are waiting for this is what they normally come out to, this, or certainly this kind of this group of songs is normally what they come out to. This is just preceding kick-off. So the players, I presume, we're going to see very shortly, because they're less than 2 minutes to go until kick-off. But the officials are not out yet either, so we're hoping for 2 minutes. But frankly, Who knows tonight? Who knows? Well, stay with us. It's fine. It's all good.
Are Scotland now making a point? Are Scotland now making a point that they're unhappy with George's behaviour and they're not coming out? I mean, it's.
They might be saying, we'll wait until the referee's ready, because as I said, there's an indoor warm-up area. They'll be able to go through whatever they need to go through in there. We'll wait till the referee, we'll keep them waiting, try and annoy them a little bit more, and we'll walk out when the referee's ready.
Maybe the referee's packed it in.
By the way, in this group, Norway-Cyprus is almost over. Norway leads Cyprus by 3 goals to 0, and you know who's got 2 of them, Haaland, tonight. Not all 3, just 2 tonight.
Of course he has, Erling Haaland, the double, but he got the goal against Scotland. Scotland, though, got the victory late on in Oslo at the weekend. They're looking to make it 4 wins from 4 in their first 4 qualifying matches in this group. But the game itself needs to get underway. It's looking like, even if it does get underway, with half past 9 now, and the officials aren't out yet, neither are Scotland. It's now looking, even if they were to start right this second, this game wouldn't be finished till nearly 11:15 if they kept it to a really strict 15 minutes at half time. So it is going to be a very late finish here at Hampden Park, whatever happens, but they are saying that they are going to get this game underway. It's supposed to be underway right now. It should be happening any second, and I'm sure once we see the Scotland players and once we see the officials, we might lose the Georgia players again.
This is the bit that gets me. Up until now, we've been able to figure out what's been happening. I'm gone now. I don't know why Scotland are not out there. Why the referee and the assistants aren't out there. I mean, that doesn't make any sense to me at all.
Well, so far the man of the match has been Keith Easton, who is the DJ here at Hampden Park and has been since 2008. Thanks very much to George Cummins for top reporting on that one, who can bring us up to date, because he has kept this crowd on top form. Ali?
There's a briefing going on down there. A chap in a blazer has come running out to a group of reporters here, some TV and radio reporters, to explain what is going on. So we're going to get the message pretty soon, but this game should have kicked off by now. Scotland were ready to go at 9:15 and ready to play. They then disappeared back down the tunnel, and whereas Scotland were out on the field and ready to go at 9:15, now it's gone 9:30. We've got Georgia out on the field and we've got no Scotland. I've never seen anything like this. This is bonkers.
I think the word shambles will be used quite a bit tomorrow.
And incidentally, have you noticed that the Georgian players are having no difficulty with the ball, passing it easily to each other?
Yeah. This looks good now.
This pitch is playable. Go on with the game, guys.
And here comes Scotland in about 2 minutes or 10 seconds. You will hear that they are out on the pitch here at Hampden Park. The subs are heading off. The Georgia players are on the pitch. The Scotland players are on the pitch. We're just waiting for the officials, and then we might have a match on our hands. There are still 83 minutes of this game to play. Scotland lead it by a Callum McGregor goal to 0 as we are about to get underway in this qualifying match for Euro 2024. Scotland, as I say, have won their opening 3 games of this competition. They're looking to win 4 in a row. That would be the first time that they had won 4 matches in a row of a qualifying campaign, and they could do it this evening. The ball is in their court. The ball is on the pitch. It might not be running as smoothly as they would want in an ideal world, but it is playable, if not perfect. And here come the officials. Your commentary team, thank God for this, at Hampden Park this evening. James McFadden, Pat Nevin and Alistair Bruce Bull.
Kelly Cates tick, Roddy Forsyth tick, calling the register, James McFadden tick, Pat Nevin tick, I'm here, Scotland are here, Georgia are here, and our referee Istvan Vat from Hungary is here. I'm sure he wasn't quite expecting what's gone on this evening. We are almost an hour and 40 minutes after the game stopped after 7 minutes of the first half, just after Callum McGregor had scored that goal. We are finally ready to get back underway. Scotland all in dark blue, leading by a goal to 0. Angus Gunn, their goalkeeper. Ryan Porteous, Jack Hendry, Kieran Tierney, the back 3. Aaron Hickey and Andy Robertson, the wing backs. Billy Gilmore into the team tonight in place of Ryan Christie in the midfield with Scott McTominay and Callum McGregor, the goal scorer, John McGinn, and Lyndon Dykes complete the lineup. And there we go, Georgia kick off. So that was the kick off having conceded the Callum McGregor goal. We are underway and they are defending the goal away to our right, and there's a back pass into the box and Lyndon Dykes almost closes it down. The ball did roll towards the goalkeeper. There wasn't really enough pace on the pass. Now if they're trying to prove a point by playing passes like that, that could really cost them.
Very dangerous out there, but they've moved it quickly up the right hand side.
They have. This is Kitesh Vili who had that shot for Georgia in the early stages of the game that went just wide of the goal but almost stopped dead in its tracks on the goal line, and there's a drive across goal with the right foot and it goes behind for a goal kick to Scotland. Scotland 1, Georgia 0. Georgia's goalkeeper is Georgi Mamachvili. Got a hand to Callum McGregor's strike, but he couldn't keep it out. Their three centre-backs, Otar Kakabadze, the skipper, Guram Kashia, winning his 104th cap tonight, and Solomon Kverkvalia, winning his 50th cap for Georgia tonight. Luka Gagnidze, wide on the right-hand side, making his first competitive start for Georgia, just 20 years old, winning his 4th cap for his country this evening. The ball is passed out of play by Kieran Tierney. Saba Lobjanidze is coming to the side on the left-hand side. Lasha Dvali is also coming to the starting lineup tonight. Kitesh Vili and Nika Kvekveskiri in the Georgian midfield. And a dangerous two up front of Georges Mikotadze, who plays his club football in France for Metz, the 22-year-old, and the star man Kvicha Kvaratskhelia.
Yes, well done. Well done.
I have to say, I think that took you longer to read that out than the delay we've had for the game.
It felt like it, Pat. Dear, oh dear. Right, come on, let's concentrate on the game. 5 Live and BBC Sounds. Thank you for sticking with us. Scotland starting this game tonight. 3 wins out of 3 in Group A, having beaten Cyprus and Spain in March, having won with 2 late goals away to Norway on Saturday. And they start tonight 5 points clear of their opponents, Georgia. Defending the goal away to our right, white shirts with a red stripe down the middle of the front and the back of the shirt, white shorts and white socks. And here's Jack Hendry on the ball for Scotland. Finds little Billy Gilmore in his bright orange boots. A lot of pace on the pass there to Porteous. Porteous plays it across to Tierney. And Tierney is allowed to bring this forward to the halfway line. Slides it forward. McGeehan really rifles a pass at McGregor. Lovely first touch. And now Robertson on the move, speeding into the penalty area. Still going, crosses into the near post. Ball is loose. And Georgia just about scramble it away. Hendry heads it forward, nodded away from the edge of the box. Hendry is there again with a stooping header. And then Kiteshvili plays the ball back to Kakabadze, who clears with his right foot, and Scotland have won it, and here they come again. Robertson looking for Gilmore. Gilmore couldn't control the pass, and now Georgia bring it forward to the halfway line. Again, they go wide to the right to Kiteshvili. Kvaratskhelia wide on the left-hand side, waiting for play to come his way, but the ball is cleared by Tierney and out for a throw-in to Georgia. James McFadden.
Well, what a break it is for Scotland, knocking the ball about, just trying to get used to the pitch, and then it's that change of tempo, the forward pass into McGinn, round the corner to McGregor, who plays it to Andy Robertson. It looks like he's going to go and drive towards goal. It cuts it across. It does stick in the water on the top of the pitch, but it was a great break from Scotland, and then brilliant defending by Kieran Tierney in the left back area, having to go out there. It's the beauty of having him there, go out 1v1 when the ball's played inside. He doesn't watch the ball, he matches the man and blocks the 1-2. It's really good defending.
Scotland 1, Georgia 0. What about the pitch, Pat? How do you think it's playing?
It's actually playing perfectly well, playable, very playable actually. The question still remains in the 2 penalty boxes, and the ball did zip in there. I don't think it stuck too badly when it was down there in the penalty box, so at the moment I don't think there's any there'll be complaints, but I don't think there's any excuse to get this game called off just now.
25-10 this evening. 5 Live and BBC Sounds, and we've only played 12 minutes of the first half of Scotland-Georgia. Scotland leading Georgia by 1-0. Norway have beaten Cyprus by 3-1. Long diagonal aimed at Hickey for Scotland. Great first touch, brings the ball back to the corner of the box. High lofted cross with his left foot is beyond Lyndon Dykes and goes behind for a goal kick to Georgia.
It's a tremendous first touch from Aaron Hickey. It really is. Crossfield pass right to him, but he's still got a lot to do. His first touch is unbelievable, and then it just opens up. He's trying to find Lyndon Dykes, who peeled to the back post with the left foot, and he just overhits it. But it won't surprise many for what I'm going to say next. You should be having shots, 25-30 yards, have shots, get it bounced in front of the goalkeeper. Let's see how that penalty box is. The game's on now, don't feel sorry for anyone. Get your shots away and let the goalkeeper deal with it, because Callum McGregor's one, he gets a touch there and it goes into the back of the net. Andy Robertson going down the left hand side, the cross, it comes across, it's flashed across, it gets a touch to that, but it can't quite get it to safety. Test them.
Nice build up from Scotland inside the Georgian half. Now it's worked back here to Andy Robertson, strokes the ball back into the centre circle where Jack Hendry very casually jogging towards it. Still, you'll see the spray come up from the ball as it's passed across the turf, but that pass reaches Robertson quite easily. You can see the Scotland players just putting a little bit more on some of those passes, and Hendry strokes one across here to Porteous. Porteous slightly scuffed that as he played the ball infield. Chance for Georgia to break, but Gagnidze gave it away. Callum McGregor strokes his pass here to Tierney. Tierney up to the corner of the box, cross into the far post, attacked by Dykes, and the header is down and wide and behind for a goal kick for Georgia. Pat Nevin.
We have said this time and time again, Scotland's left-hand side's dynamite, and it doesn't matter if it's Tierney, if it's Robertson, the times they just take it in turns. One will go, the other will stay. Sometimes they go together and play 1-2s. They are bordering on unstoppable up there. And of course, Gagnidze, he's not their first choice right wing back player, so there may well be a weakness there that Scotland are trying to exploit.
Georgia have given the ball away. Scotland 1, Georgia 0 on a very strange evening at Hampden Park tonight. Played 7 minutes of the first half, then the pitch became unplayable due to the very heavy rain ahead of the game. We finally got it back underway. Good battling run from McTominay on the right. Good ball in as well. Dykes couldn't quite get on the end of it. Charge here for Kakabadze to clear with his right foot. Ball bounces just short of the halfway line. Hendry wins the first header. Another long ball into the Scotland half, and Kitishvili can't keep that in play. Big roars from the Scotland fans throwing to Scotland. On the left, they lead Georgia by a goal to 0.
Just to add on to your point about the left hand side, you put Callum McGregor into that as well. He's the one that's making that run from inside. But looking at the way Georgia are playing, they're sitting back, they're trying to close those gaps and hit Scotland on the break, because they know that Robertson's going to go forward, they know that McGregor's going to go and support, they know that Kieran Tierney is at times going to go and support, so they are targeting Scotland down that left hand side, which is, I would say, pretty brave, because we've just highlighted why it's the strongest part of the team.
Ball pings off Lyndon Dykes from a clearance and just goes skidding wide of the Georgian goal. Goalkeeper Mamarchvili was slightly concerned there, but it's gone behind for a goal kick to Georgia.
It also tells you the Georgians have started very slow here, haven't they, really? I mean, Scotland get 3-4 very good crosses across the box. They've been lively right at the start. And it's one of those ones, I'm sure Stevie Clark must have said, yeah, do the right thing, start really sharp. This game could be beyond Georgia's had one of those half chances been taken.
So goal kick for Georgia, and the goalkeeper's taken his time as he can't quite decide where the best place is to take this from. So he's run from the left-hand corner of his 6-yard box to the right, and now back to the left, drills it forward with his left foot, only as far as McTominay. McTominay gets through the challenge of Gagnidze, and he continues his run out on the right-hand touchline. Nice ball into the feet of Billy Gilmore. Gilmore takes a couple of touches that force him wide, holds on to it, looking to win a corner here, and in the end has managed to do that for Scotland. And let's not forget, the opening goal of this game came from a corner on the left, swung in by John McGinn. Georgia couldn't clear it, and Callum McGregor was first to it to strike it home.
Scotland boys fancy it more, don't they? I mean, the challenge is in there. McTominay is just like a monster against the player he's playing against there. Can't get near him.
Corner for Scotland to be taken again by John McGinn. The Aston Villa man holds his right hand in the air on this soaking wet pitch, runs to the ball and hits it hard with his left foot, swinging away towards the far post, headed away from Tierney. Kitishvili gathers it, starts a run down the right, knocks the ball out of play. Tierney wants to go quickly for Scotland, throw in level with the edge of the Georgian penalty area, and then the ball didn't come to him quickly enough. So instead now he's going to take his time and dry the ball with the towels that have been provided around the field here.
I'll tell you one thing, the Spanish team were moaning and complaining after Scotland win last time. That's nothing to what the Georgians were saying. If they managed to lose this one, there are plenty of complaints.
Losing it at the moment. I'm not sure I strictly started my stopwatch at exactly the right time as Tierney takes that throw into the penalty area. 17.5 minutes gone. In fact, there's a little bit more than that. 19 minutes gone. Pat has very sensibly pointed out that the time is on the screen on the replay monitor.
To be fair, I wouldn't absolutely judge that as being gospel truth, because they kept on seeing GMT before and they were wrong.
Long ball over the top here towards Tierney. Tierney just short of the corner flag on the left. As Scotland attack this goal away to our right. Callum McGregor back to Tierney. Got time to try and pick a man out in the middle. Cross comes in. Oh, to the far post. Very nearly fell for McTominay. McTominay couldn't control it, and then Kvaratskhelia in his bright pink boots brings the ball away for Georgia, and here he is again on the left. Tries a first-time ball, hard hit with his right foot, up in the air it goes. Kiteshvili couldn't control it, but Mikhail Tadze has it. He's going to hit the shot with his right foot, well off target, and behind it goes for the Scotland goal kick. Scotland 1, Georgia 0.
They've changed their setup slightly, Georgia. Kvaratskhelia is coming over to this left-hand side, and you've got Mikhail Tadze through the middle, and Kiteshvili off the right-hand side, and it was more of a 3-5-2 they started with. I mean, at this point it looks like a 4-2-3-1. So they've obviously looked at that at the start of the game and thought, you know, we have to do something to change it, and that's obviously, well, time will tell whether it's to their benefit, but they've obviously felt as though something had to change for Georgia in that, you know, first 6 or 7 minutes of the game.
Well, they'd done an hour and 40 minutes to think about it.
McGinn's ball looking for Dykes down the inside left channel, covered by the Georgian skipper Cashier, clears with his right foot. Georgia start to play inside their own half. Kiteshvili, short, stocky central midfielder, on the turn, plays the ball wide to the left-hand side, and Scotland just back off for a second here as Georgia bring it into the half. Kvaratskhelia just knocks one back to Kvek Veskiri, floats the ball to his right. That's Kvek Valia, who plays the ball down the right, but that runs out of play, and Andy Robertson just lets the ball skid away from him and just runs the clock down a little in the first half. We've not played too much time so far, 21 minutes gone. Scotland leading Georgia by a goal to 0.
Do you know, is it noticeable? You know, the Scotland fans were buzzing before the start of the game, and then for the time that we were waiting for it to start after an hour and a half, more than an hour and 40 minutes, they had a party. They've actually went quite quiet there, so they need to liven up a bit and get behind the team.
Lovely summer's evening in Glasgow now after all the rain we had earlier on. Ball is lofted forward, headed away by Porteous, breaks loose inside the Scotland half. Hickey with real pace to get there first, water spraying everywhere as he tries to run past Kiteshvili here, holds on to it, plays the ball back to his goalkeeper. Angus Gunn got to be careful, ball at his feet inside a very wet box, clears with his left foot, taking absolutely no chances beyond Robertson, and out for a throw into Georgia.
So I've just noticed that the team that was given online is totally different. It's Tavali's on the left-hand side, Lobjanitsis on the right, wide on the right-hand side, so it looks like it's a back four. Tavali is a left back, Kakabadze is the right back, you've got Valia, Cashier is your centre backs, and then the front three as is. It is quite confusing when you're given a different lineup.
Very, very different to the team sheet we were given. Scotland leading Georgia by a goal to 0. James McFadden and Pat Nemin alongside me. James watched Georgia on Saturday, won their game 2-1 away to Cyprus. So they've started with a home draw against Norway and that 2-1 win away to Cyprus. And they've only lost one of their last 15 internationals. And they seem to be settling into this game now and knocking the ball around inside their own half. Here is Kiteshvili, plays the ball back to his goalkeeper Mamarchvili, who's Valencia's goalkeeper in La Liga. Kiteshvili again plays across to the captain Kushia. Scotland just chasing at the moment, ball back with Georgia's keeper, clips it long with his left foot. Hendry flicks a header sideways here, and Tierney's just got to get going to get to that ball first, and he's managed to do that. And now Robertson plays back to Angus Gunn. Angus Gunn winning his 4th cap for his country tonight, having started all 4 games in this qualifying campaign for Scotland. Of course, his father Brian Gunn, a Scotland international before him as well. Georgia have the ball again inside their own half, passing with care on still a very wet pitch, and there's the 20-year-old Gagnidze, plays the ball out to the right to Kakabadze. It's Lobjanidze who comes back to get involved in the play, and now they've worked it left here to Diwali, and he finds Kvaratskhelia, who tries to get away from Porteous. Good challenge from the Scotland defender. McGinn on the turn. McGinn with a little trick, actually runs into a tackle. Kvaratskhelia with a little bit of skill on the halfway line, takes a tumble, he's caught, and that will be a free kick for Georgia. Scotland 1, Georgia 0.
What can you do? Can't get out of the way of that. He's just ran straight into him. It was Billy Gilmore who's standing there, and he hit the ball past him and ran straight into him. You can't stop that.
Taking it quickly. It's Mikhail Tadze. Another one who's wearing the pink boots for Georgia. Very exciting Young striker, already scored goals at international level. Now Diwali, closed down by Dykes. Ball goes towards the Scotland penalty area. Very easy for Angus Gunn to come and collect at the edge of his box.
I know I keep going on about it, but it's really clever from the Georgians to change the shape, because they've got more control of the ball now. They're making Scotland, Callum McGregor's having to go and press a full back as opposed to being up against a midfielder, and it's making it difficult for Scotland to really put them under any kind of pressure. So it is quite clever from Georgia. It's giving them control. Hopefully it continues the way it is and they don't really create too many opportunities from it, but it's something that Steve Clarke will be looking at.
20 minutes remaining in this very delayed first half. Goal scorer Callum McGregor just tackled as Scotland build an attack down the left, and the Georgian skipper Cashier clears with his right foot. Scotland collect the loose ball. McGregor plays it wide here to Robertson at full speed. He's tackled and the ball goes behind for a Scotland corner. Pat Nevin.
Has Andy Robertson got more pace than he had before? He is lightning down that left hand side, flying down every time he gets a chance. He knows he's got a beating of any player he's against just now. And it is one of those ones, get the ball over there as much as you can.
So Scotland corner, this one's going to come in from their left flank this time. A couple of players on the goal line putting pressure on the keeper. Ball into the far post, headed away, drops down on the edge of the box, scramble inside that penalty area. There's McGinn trying to make space for the shot. That's closed down and blocked. It comes back to Hickey, and Hickey plays the ball across to Callum McGregor. McGregor with a bit of space inside the Georgian half, plays it to McTominay. Very recognisable figure in the Scotland midfield, tall man, wears number 4. Robertson's floated ball across to Tierney. Tierney's touch takes him back towards the halfway line, but still has possession for Scotland. Back to Hickey. Hickey looks up, looks for an option, slides it in for the run of Tierney. Tierney can't get there in time, and that ball will roll well enough for the Georgian defence. Diwali it was to allow it just to run beyond him and go behind for the goal kick.
Yeah, it's the right idea. It's the wrong player he's passing it to. Kieran Tierney had pulled wide because he wanted the ball to feet, and if that's a right-footed player who's more comfortable playing on that side, it's the run and it's the pass to make. But he never made the run, and the pass was obviously defended well from the Georgians. And on the point of Andy Robertson, Georgia are leaving 3 up. They're going high and wide. They're trying to exploit those spaces, and when they have the ball it's great, but when they lose it, Andy Robertson's away. He's down that side. Callum McGregor's going out there, so it's a 2v1 almost every time they go forward.
Kvek Veskiri with a rather risky high ball played back towards the edge of his own box, but Georgia deal with that. And there's Kirk Valia, plays it across to the right, and then Kakabadze clears with his right foot. Flower of Scotland starts to ring around the National Stadium here in Glasgow. Scotland leading Georgia by 1-0, trying to make it 4 wins out of 4. An incredible start to this qualification campaign for Euro 2024, the tournament in Germany next summer. Georgia have possession inside their own half. Scotland just back off here. Lyndon Dykes the closest to the ball, but he stops running. John McGinn keeps the chase, looks for others to go with him. No one there. Diwali has it, but Georgia still inside their own half. Gagnidze, the 20-year-old, little turn from him, edge of the D. Low pass across to his right. Now the ball's played and intercepted well by Callum McGregor. McGregor takes it to the edge of the box, plays it to his left. Dykes crossing towards McGinn, cleared by Gagnidze and out for a throw into Scotland on the left.
But yeah, we know what we're going to say. Go on, say it.
That's what I'm speaking about. As soon as he steps forward, shoot. You've got loads of time and space. He thinks about it. Just shoot. Let it bounce in front of the goalkeeper. Make him deal with it. He doesn't. He plays Dykes. John McGinn doesn't make the run. Have a shot, come on.
That's all very well if you've scored the winner for 25 yards against France, mate. No, but Callum can do that.
Of course he can.
Robertson just slightly overhits the pass, trying to link up with Tierney down the left-hand side. Scotland looking so dangerous down there at the moment. They lead Georgia by 1-0. 28 minutes played in the first half. Dramatic day of sport for all different sorts of reasons. Obviously at Edgbaston, Australia winning that thrilling first test in the end by 2 wickets. Pat Cummins, the captain, 44 not out. England thought they had them at 227 for 8, but he and Nathan Lyon put on a partnership of 55 for the final wicket. So Australia take a 1-0 lead in the Ashes 5-match series. The second test starts at Lord's a week tomorrow. The women's Ashes starts with a test match at Trent Bridge on Thursday. All your cricket coverage on 5 Live, commentary on Sports Extra, BBC Sport website and the app, and of course the TMS podcast will be a fantastic listen later on this evening, available via the BBC Sounds app. Scotland 1, Georgia 0. Georgia, I was going to say pinging it around, I'm going to say skidding it around inside their own half. Gagnidze with a nice little turn, sees a gap and moves through it, gets away from Dykes and McTominay. Here's the danger man, Kvaratskhelia, long way from the Scotland goal. Plays it into Kiteshvili. Kiteshvili across to the right-hand side. He continues his run in central midfield, and Scotland force the play back into the congested midfield area. The manager, Steve Clarke, with his waterproof coat on, still very sensibly, hands behind his back, just making a minor tactical adjustment, bellowing some instructions across the field as Georgia have worked it wide to the right. John McGinn is back there to cover it. Ball is played back into the Georgian half. Dykes closes it down quickly, and Georgia come across to the left. Scotland lead them by a goal to nil. Lasha Diwali cross here to Kiteshvili, who's the deepest sitting of the central midfielders, whips the ball high in the air, wide to the right-hand side. Scotland have that covered at the moment. Back it comes to Kvek-Viskiri, and the offside flag goes up as Georgia try and work it down the right, and Scotland will take the free kick quickly back.
That was interesting. I was just about to jump in there and say, Scotland playing an unusually high line against a team that have got 3 and 4 right on that line most of the time during on play. So just a moment I thought Jordan McGinn had won the ball, but he hadn't. The referee's surely not going to give me not just a talk to, but it's a high line, and it may well be that Scotland are playing a little bit higher than usual, because any ball over the top is going to zip now, isn't it? It's going to skid through, and that's a big moment for Guns only have to come out for everything there, isn't it?
Yeah, as I think that when you look at that back line, Tierney, Henry, Porteous, Hickey and Robertson, obviously if you make it a 5, they're all quick, so they're trusting the pace as well. Georgia are putting so many players on that last line of defence that it's risky.
Here's a ball that Scotland have to deal with, and it is dealt with by Jack Hendry, the middle of the 3 centre-backs tonight. Kiteshvili on the turn, 35 yards out from the Scotland goal, and wide it goes to Lobjanidze with the peroxide blonde hair. His cross is headed away by Tierney, down to the feet of Robertson. Robertson's in a tight spot down by the byline, clears with his left foot up towards Dykes. Chested down though by Georgia, who now try to continue the attack down the right, but Dykes has stuck to his guns there, won the tackle, clears it up towards McGinn, flying header to stop the ball getting to McGinn, and it goes out for a throw into Scotland.
I have to say I'm warming a bit to Georgia as a team, actually knocking the ball about really well. There's a real bravery about them, leaving as many players up, and they're a technically decent side and they're very mobile in positions, aren't they? They are, you're quite right, Faddy, they have changed the system, but they all look perfectly mobile and they're covering each other in different positions when they move out. They're not a bad side, are they?
Yeah, and technically they're very good. They're patient, they're knocking the ball about. At times, the Callum McGregor one where you're saying they have a shot, they're maybe overplaying it, but they're comfortable. And they are 1-0 down, but they're not going gung-ho and chasing it. They're putting the players in the back line of Scotland to try and push the wing backs back, to try and stop that threat. We spoke about Andy Robertson. Aaron Hickey's really comfortable going forward as well, so they're trying to make Scotland be a back 5 to cause them problems, but they're almost drawing them out as well to look for those gaps, and so far they haven't been able to do it. But yeah, I agree with you, they look like a very good side.
Good work from Tierney to find Robertson with a great cross in right across the face of the Georgian goal. McTominay will chase that hard all the way out to the right, and he's got the pace to get there first as well. Keeps the ball in play. Diwali makes the tackle, got to be careful down by the byline. McTominay's taking it off him, tries to find Hickey, and he's won Scotland another corner in this first half. Scotland lead Georgia by a goal to nil. That was a fantastic cross, wasn't it?
It was a brilliant cross, left hand side. Andy Robertson again. It's well defended, you have to say, by Georgia, but Scott McTominay doesn't give it up. It looks like it's going out, and he manages to keep it in, and he manages to win a corner from it as well.
Scotland 1, Georgia 0. James McFadden and Pat Nevin with 5 Live in BBC Sounds tonight in Hampden Park. This very delayed first half. We've got about 10 minutes left of it. Here's McGregor in space on the right, little chip cross into the near post, headed away. Kakabadze flicks it up and then volleys it away with his right foot. Billy Gilmore's back there. Now this is where he's got to be careful, being chased by a couple of Georgian players. Didn't want to go back to Angus Gunn, clears on the turn and it goes out for a throw.
Absolutely excellent Billy there. He always wants to play a pass The time you don't do it now.
Scalia tried something very ambitious, wide on the left, 45 yards out, saw Gunn off his line. Gunn obviously coming further forward just to cover the slower balls that are coming back to him. Hit the shot wide, but nice idea.
The bad flashback there when we played Italy in that decider to get to Euro 2008. The ball boy threw the ball in so quick when it was an overload for Italy, and it almost happened there again.
Nice open game this at the moment. Hickey looking for the run of McTominay down the right. McTominay can't get there and actually fouls his man, so that will be a free kick to Georgia. Not heard much of the referee's whistle so far. You heard it very loud and clear there. Do you know what? It's funny, Pat, you were talking about the atmosphere going a little bit flat since kickoff. The Scotland fans, I think they've run out of puff, having done all the partying before the game.
They've shouted themselves out a wee bit early on. They've also got it. It's a strange atmosphere. It has gone a little bit weird. It has taken slightly the stuffing out of the game. However, that can change at Hampden very quickly. If Georgia scored or if Scotland scored, that will adapt very, very, very quickly indeed. By the way, just one word on McTominay.
Yeah.
I think he's been colossal today, hasn't he? He loves that a little bit further on, just getting behind the strikers. That's his position.
Yeah, it is, and I think that to make the point about the fans as well, some of them might be sobering up, Ali.
Throw in for Scotland. They lead Georgia by a goal to nil, looking to make it 4 wins out of 4 at the start of this Euro 2024 qualification campaign. Brilliant work from Billy Gilmore again. Takes the ball off Lobjanidze, and suddenly Robertson puts the burners on. Here he goes, knocks the ball past the defender, hopes that's going to slow up. He can't quite get there, runs away from him, and behind it goes for the goal kick. But he is speeding down that left tonight.
Do you know that noise? Do you remember that noise? When he got the ball and the whole place went, oh, there was a real... It's just a buzz you get certain players, and fans know when a player is flying, and you knew he was going to take off there. The afterburners were gone. He's in seriously good form just now.
Georgia bring the ball out with their defensive midfielder, Kvek Veskiri. Low pass to his right. Played back into the Georgian half, and Scotland again back into their defensive shape, not pressing the ball at the moment. Kvek Veskiri again tries to rifle one down the middle. Little layout from Lobjanidze. Scotland have won it. Here's Dykes running at the Georgian defenders, taking it up to the edge of the box. Good run beyond him as well from Gilmore. Can't quite get there, but the clearance is not good. Gilmore floated cross, can't get it past the keeper. Dykes trying to get on the end of it at the far post, but it's grabbed by Mamardashvili, the goalkeeper.
As he picked that up, Lyndon Dykes, he looked like he was going to open his body and pass it wide, and it was a little feint, and he drags it inside. Then he's got Billy Gilmore running up his left hand side. I felt that was one where he could do the same, almost fake the pass, because you know the runner's going to go, the defender's going to go with the runner, and then come inside and get your shot away. But it was a good break again. Scotland have looked without being able to create a real good opportunity, looked really dangerous on the counter.
The crosses from the left, there's been about 4 now that, on another day a striker only gets the tiniest of touch, and that's a goal there. Just that moment where Billy Gilmore flew past Dykes on the left hand side. Dykes wouldn't have known who it was. He was probably hoping it was somebody else who's a more noted finisher. Wouldn't it be just great though if Billy Gilmore scored his first goal as a top level player?
He's never scored in his senior career, has he, Pat? Let alone for Scotland.
Yep. Good place to start.
Very good place to start at home for Scotland. Hampden Park tonight. 10 o'clock now it is. We're going late this evening. Scotland leading Georgia by a goal to nil. Next in action in September. Cyprus away in this group. And then they'll play England at home here at Hampden Park on the 12th of September, a game to mark the 150th anniversary of the first ever match played between the two nations at the West of Scotland Cricket Club all the way back in 1872, a game that finished 0-0. Here are Georgia with the young striker Miko Tadze, his layoff to the right. Now Lobjanidze. Socks rolled down, comes running across the Scotland half. Little 1-2 from Kiteshvili, back to Lobjanidze. And now John McGinn goes chasing after that ball and just forces Georgia to play back to the halfway line. Cashier with the floated diagonal to the right. Scotland with Andy Robertson appealing for an offside. Assistant referee agrees, and Scotland will get themselves the free kick.
Highline's working quite well so far. There's a couple of times they've been caught offside, they've been desperate to go. I mean, they are getting the ball. The big thing about if you're playing a high line, you need to close down the midfield. You don't give them any space. They've managed to get space a couple of times, but they've timed it well, the work that they have done together. And of course, that's a back line, particularly on the left hand side, that played each other a lot, and that does help when you're trying to play an offside and a high line.
Yeah, I think having that high line, that should allow you to go and press, but we spoke about the quality of the Georgians. They're knocking the ball about well. They're not allowing, Scotland easy pressure points. They're moving the ball really well. They're trying to suck them in to hit those diagonals, those balls in behind. Scotland managed to deal with it well, but they could be doing a bit better with the pressure.
Fabulous turn from John McGinn, 30 yards out in a central position. Another turn here with his left foot, strokes a sweet pass into the path of Tierney. Someone might hit one from range in a minute, but no, the pass is rolled to McGregor. McGregor goes running out to the left, finds Robertson, returns the pass to McGregor. Lovely cut back here to Tierney. Tierney, scoop cross to the far post. McGinn with the header. It's wide of the target. Goalkeeper scrambling to his right. Nicely worked by Scotland, but that will be a goal kick for Georgia.
It wasn't really good play. 1-2's understanding of each other, and there was a little bit of play that what you said there about Callum McGregor there, and he is part of it. It's a triumvirate over there on the left hand side. He doesn't even need to look. It's a reverse pass, knowing that his mate is going to make the run. They trust each other. There's a great understanding on the left hand side with all three of them. You're right.
And we're talking about the Georgians and the quality they have, but if you're coming up against that, you must be looking saying, well, this time it's McGregor.
Scotland throw taken quickly. Gilmore's pass. Oh, McGinn's miscued. McGinn was level with the penalty spot. It fell on that left foot. And maybe the pitch played a part and the ball didn't get to him quite in time.
100%. That was the pitch. It just slowed it a millimetre and he was just tapping it in. That's an easy one for John McGinn in most cases, isn't it?
It is, but it's a good sign because John McGinn can miss chances, but he always gets in there. He'll get another one.
McTominay now wide on the left for Scotland, being chased by a couple of Georgian defenders, holds them both off, plays it back to Tierney. Tierney, meaty pass to the feet of Porteous, and Porteous is busy looking to get Scotland on the front foot again. Gets the ball back from McGinn, wide to Hickey. Hickey back to Porteous. Porteous just about 7-8 yards inside the Georgian half on the right. Forward to McGinn. McGinn is bundled over by Diwali, doesn't win the free kick. Diwali's ball forward to Miko Tadze. One touch from him and then whips the pass out to the right. Chased by Lobjanidze, but he can't keep the ball in play. So John McGinn, 16 goals for Scotland, currently has him 7th on the all-time list. It's only one ahead actually of James McFadden sitting alongside us here in the commentary box. The test obviously for Pat and James tonight is to name the 6 players that are ahead of John McGinn in terms of goals scored. Look at the mics immediately go to their mouths.
Shall we just take Law and Douglas out of that just now?
Dennis Law and Kenny Dalglish at the top of the list.
Kenny Miller.
Very good, yeah.
Ali McCoist.
Ali McCoist, yeah. Then there's a couple that are a bit tricky because you have to go a bit further back.
Is it Gallagher? Hugh
Gallagher, yeah, second on the list. With 24.
By the way, I was on that list, so I know a few of the names that were ahead of me.
Very good. The other one actually is Laurie Riley.
You never gave us much a chance here. I was trying to leave a bit of suspense.
I beg your pardon, I'm sorry.
I think you've pronounced his name wrong. It's the great Laurie Riley.
The great Laurie Riley. The great John McGinn finds Lyndon Dykes. Dykes back to McGinn, just outside the Georgian penalty area. Left-footed pass. McGregor's got a lot of time here on the edge of the box. Rolls it here to McTominay. McTominay trying to work it onto the right foot. Hits the shot. Oh, tipped just wide. Really good save to knock it past the post and behind for a corner, because McTominay thought he had his 5th goal in this qualification campaign.
That's an incredible save. It really is. Scott McTominay. We're speaking about McGregor. We're speaking about Tierney, Robertson. He's deciding he wants a bit of the action. And when it comes to him, he just shifts it back on his right foot. Little backlift. He just tries to pass it into the far post. And it is a tremendous save from Mamardashvili. It really is. That should have been a goal. What a save.
Corner for Scotland. They lead 1-0. McGinn's corner headed away just underneath the Georgian crossbar. Hickey's there to the dropping ball. Brilliant layoff to McGinn. McGinn, and again another cross into the back post, and the effort at the back post. Scotland want another corner. They get another corner, and some bad news from our producer George Cummins. Coming up to half time, they've run out of beer inside the stadium.
Right, 1 hour 40-minute delay. Georgians playing silly things there, but that can all be coped with quite well. Running out of beer, we're in trouble.
We are in trouble. Corner for Scotland, but the referee's not happy with something. A little bit of argy-bargy on the goal line here, as the famous Bill McLaren used to say. A little bit of push and shove there. Goalkeeper's complaining. Jack Hendry is standing on his toes. Goalkeeper's still shoving Jack Hendry. It's Georgi Mamardashvili, all in bright green. 6'6" tall he stands, but Hendry is just as tall.
Get away from him. The referee will just give a free kick.
Yeah.
Just leave the keeper now. Leave the keeper.
Corner comes in from the left. Deep swinging one to the far post. Porteous does get a header on it, but couldn't get a good header on it. Good defending against him, and it goes behind for a goal kick. We've got a minute left plus added time. at the end of this remarkable first half, and Scotland lead Georgia by a goal to nil.
We've created chances, haven't we? Lots and lots
definitely.
of chances. But Scotland being the better team by a distance.
I was just thinking to add on to your question, do you want to have a game of guessing how many goals they all have?
This man knows this one. He's playing his joker.
I've got them scribbled down, but I know you're going to know.
I'm not definitely, but I know. But the top two are on 30.
30, yeah.
Can remember
Hugh Gallagher, 22.
24. Here's McGinn. McGinn, of course, on 16, looking to make it 17. Edge of the area. Oh, driven shot deflected up and over the bar corner for Scotland. Now that would have been a timely goal, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Just before half time, we scored early on. McGinn's getting in great positions there. McTominay's getting in great positions. If the Georgians, they cannot keep on defending like this, we'll eventually surely score a goal or get something on target, even if it's a deflection in these circumstances.
And if there's anyone that doesn't need encouragement to shoot from there, it's John McGinn.
John McGinn, who's going to be playing European football, of course, for Aston Villa next season, gets ready to take the corner with his left foot again, a high swinging one to the far post. Georgia ready for that, but the ball is headed up in the air. McTominay wins the next one. Dykes thinks about an acrobatic strike on the turn. No, it wasn't Dykes, was it? Was it Porteous having a go at that with his right foot, and he catches the defender?
But he gave away, stopped. He was going to go for it. He was like winding up, and then he went, no, don't not do that.
It's not the option anyway. No. With the ball being so high, you always run the risk. There's going to be a defender trying to throw their head at it. Just get your body in front and flick it on and keep the ball alive.
Georgia have taken their free kick. So 4 minutes of added time at the end of the first half. Lovely skills from Kiteshvili. Gilmour surely is going to get advantages played. There was a big tug on the shirt there. Play continues, and the ball's at the feet of Kvaratskhelia on this very soggy pitch. Scotland double up on him. Gilmour makes the tackle. Now the referee's having a word about the shirt pull. Next time that'll be a yellow card.
Oh, he got lucky there. There's many a referee give a yellow card there.
Throw in from Diwali, gets it straight back. Gilmour comes chasing towards him. Played back to the Georgian skipper Kashia. Diwali, little layoff there from Mikotadze out to the left hand side. This is Kiteshvili back to the edge of the box. Kvaratskhelia. Now the shot comes in from range. That was from Kvaratskhelia, well blocked and out for a throw in to Georgia on the left, about 20 yards inside the Scotland half. Diwali takes it. Back it comes here to Kushia. Kushia passes across to his centre-back partner, Kvaratskhelia. And now the ball goes high and wide to the right-hand side, and that's easy for Tierney to come across, time his jump, win the header, nod it down to Andy Robertson. Robertson speeding forward again. Good pass to McTominay, trying to take it round the defender. Just got a touch on it, and Georgia are able to bring it away, and Scotland have got to get back here. Here's Kiteshvili. Plays it wide to the danger man, Kvaratskhelia. Up against Hickey. Shows him one way, goes the other, just inside the Scotland penalty area on the left. Little bit of a trick, trying to dart between two defenders, keeps it in by the byline, gets the cross back. Scotland with McTominay, head it clear. McGinn is going to take control of this. Turns away from his marker and then just thumps it forward with his right foot. And Lyndon Dykes with the challenge on Kushia. Kushia blocked it. It looked like a handball, but it's gone out for a throw in to Scotland anyway. Georgia felt that Kushia was fouled.
It's good defending. Kvaratskhelia, we haven't seen too much of him. He does really well to find some space. Scotland managed to win the first header, and then you've got John McGinn running into the channel. He just slows down. He's just waiting for that contact, trying to use his special move, just feeling that contact and rolling the defender, but he just clips up the line, and Lyndon Dykes does enough to take the pressure off, and it's really good defending.
Hickey in with the challenge here. He missed the ball and caught the man, and the referee with a shrill blast on the whistle already has the yellow card out of the pocket, and Aaron Hickey is the first player who goes into the referee's notebook this evening. You could hear the yell of pain from up here, actually.
Yeah, there's nothing deliberate about it. He's just missed the ball, slipped over, and he's done him.
And he stayed on his toe. Remember,
we were talking about this before the game. You go through in a period of time when I played in Graham. Call you Graham, that's you one, Faddy. No, when we played, once or twice a season you get a toe trodden on. Every single game now, a bunch of players get their toes trodden.
What I say to you, the boots are obviously a bit softer, but the reaction from the players is totally different than what it used to be.
Yes.
Pat Nevin and James McFadden here at Hampden Park. 5 Live and BBC Sounds. Delayed first half here after the waterlogged pitch causing real problems. It looked like Georgia weren't going to come out and play the game. Eventually we kicked off at 9:30. We resumed the game at 9:30. We're going to have a late throw-in at the end of the first half to Georgia. The referee's just holding events for the moment, then looks at his watch and decides it is half-time. So finally, what is the time? 12 minutes past 10. 13 minutes past 10 now. We've reached half-time in this Euro 2024 qualifier, and Scotland on track to make it 4 wins in a row. Callum McGregor got the goal before the long delay. Players have eventually come back out. The pitch has been very playable. Scotland have played some lovely stuff. They haven't been able to find the second goal, but Kelly Cates at half-time, they lead Georgia by 1-0.
And as you say, the most important thing is that the pitch is playable. Pat Nevin and James McFadden are also here. Pat, the number of chances that Scotland have created in that first half, OK, they might not have added to the early goal, but it's encouraging, isn't it?
It's extremely encouraging. The amount of players that are willing to get forward there, McGinn's getting in great positions, Tominy's getting in there. McGregor constantly on the left-hand side breaking forward in there, but even Billy Gilmore, once or twice he's got there on the left-hand side. The willingness to be positive in this Scottish side is, we've watched it for long enough now, and there's been backs to the wall games. There is such a growth in confidence and the belief in this team that they're a good team, just simple as that. They know they're a good team, and they should be at least 1 and probably 2-0 up by now.
Georgia also have excellent players within their setup, if not the same kind of quality maybe all over the pitch, but they've made life difficult for Scotland. What have you made of the solutions that Scotland have found to that, James?
Yeah, I think that when they've had to defend, they've defended well. Pat mentioned, the high line, and I think that it goes on to the fact that you can see that the Scotland players know they're good. Know they're a good unit. Individually they're very good, because if the ball's hit diagonal or it goes in behind, there's no panic, there's no last ditch challenges. They're a strong unit. Going forward they've been excellent. Georgia have knocked the ball about really well. They've been really comfortable in possession. Lyndon Dykes at times is the one that's going to try and press. McGinn and McTominay and McGregor can't quite free themselves because of the setup of Georgia. They've got that back four. The full backs are high and wide. They've got one player that will go and try and build, and then they push that 5 players on the back line. You've got Kvaratskhelia on the left hand side, Lobjanidze on the right, and you've got Mick Vitadze through the middle, where the 2 midfielders are then advancing. So Scotland can't really leave the slots, because if they do, then that passes on what Georgia are looking for. So at times it has looked a bit like Lyndon Dykes is isolated. They can't quite get the pressure, but gradually they've managed to get territory. As Pat mentioned, the high line is closing that space off. Georgia's still trying to play through Scotland, but by that point it's gone. Managed to nick it on a few occasions, managed to get good attacks, particularly down the left hand side. So I think overall they'll be happy enough, but they'll still be looking, can they nick it a bit higher up the pitch? Can they cause them more problems? Can they force them into more mistakes? But I think Steve Clarke will be very happy with the performance in the first half.
Plenty for Scotland to be happy about as we finally get to the end of the first half here at Hampden. Scotland lead by 1-0. We should as well give special mention to some of the people who are out on the pitch right now with their oversized squeegees, making sure the water is off the pitch. Did a fantastic job beforehand, making sure that this game got underway, albeit belatedly. So it's 16 minutes past 10. We can head to the BBC News with Carl Hartley.
Listen on BBC Sounds. This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
Thanks, Kelly. The US Coast Guard says military aircraft and underwater sonar have found no trace of the missing submersible that was diving to the wreck of the Titanic. The vessel is thought to have less than 40 hours of oxygen remaining. Lenders say they're doing their best to help customers affected by the mortgage squeeze. The Chancellor has ruled out any major financial support from the government as costs continue to rise. But Jeremy Hunt says he will meet with mortgage lenders this week. Authorities in Honduras say at least 41 women are dead after rival gangs clashed at a women's prison there. It's thought many were killed after a fire was started deliberately in one of the cells. It's being reported part of the prison has been completely destroyed. And Hunter Biden, the son of the US president, has agreed to plead guilty to 2 lesser tax offences and admit to illegally owning a gun. The charges arose from an investigation started by a US attorney appointed by Donald Trump.
1, 2, 3, go.
Let's get cracking. The hottest TV this summer is on BBC iPlayer.
Yes, that's impressive.
A love story like no other. Colin from Accounts.
Is that a unicycle?
Yeah.
And it's yours?
Yeah.
How long have you been single?
All the drama at Waterloo Road.
Numbers are falling. It's not you. Like, you are a great teacher. I heard you were once and all. What happened?
And the fiercest makeup competition of them all. Glow Up.
This is the sort of makeup you do to stay in this competition.
Watch on BBC iPlayer.
This is 5 Live Sport with Kelly Cates.
And we're live to you this evening from Hampden Park, where the second half of the very heavily delayed Euro 2024 qualifier between Scotland and Georgia is on its way. We're going to be on air till 11:30 this evening, so Nick Bright's going to take over then. But earlier on today, Australia somehow prevailed in one of the all-time great Ashes tests to beat England by 2 wickets. Jonathan Agnew was joined by the TMS team to react to today's action.
There's a lot of Australian celebrations going on down here. There's 2 pockets of supporters, and I'm sure you recognise them. There's some in olive green shirts and then some in the gold Australian shirts. So they're all sitting together, but there's some tremendous cheering and celebrating going on because the entire Australian squad and the management and the coaching staff and so on are all just out in front of me here. Go on, Jason, I haven't seen you since. How about that? I mean, 55 those last 2 put on.
Yeah, it was extraordinary. That was just an immense effort from both those players. They took some calculated risks. I remember being in the comms box thinking, well, we're going to shut up shop now and just defend and survive.
They could have done.
They absolutely could have done, but they took the positive option, looked to put the pressure back on Ben Stokes and the England bowlers, and look, that's going to go down one for the ages, that's for sure.
Yeah. Cookie, you've been there and done it as well. They just walked off and are looking at Ben Stokes there. I wonder what is going through his mind. He's got to go through the presentations now and so on. But I guess your head is just kind of swirling, isn't it, in that situation?
Yeah, you'd probably be a bit numb because you've been thinking so much out there for such a long period of time. Look, it was... I genuinely feel there's an opportunity that England have lost here. That they haven't taken. It's not going to change England. You know, whether they win or lose, they're going to play. They were going to win. They were going to play exactly the same way at Lord's. So actually, it'll probably affect them less than we think. Apart from just how nice it is to go 1-0 up in a series and how important it is. So, you know, what it will do for Australia will reinforce that actually this tactic of hanging back against England has worked. Because you have to say they've got the result, and so it has worked. I'm a little bit disappointed about that because I think if these 2 sides decide to go match fire with fire, we would get it'd be like 2005 series but on steroids. It would be just the most incredible cricket, and as soon as Australia then took the positive option and attacked England, you know, that's when they won that game. Pat Cummins won that game for them there because he switched, whether it was just because I can't win this game, so there's a bit of hope, I've got to go down fighting, because actually all day they didn't grab that win. You know, they didn't grab the win, but he did it. He grabbed the win at the end, and I wonder whether they will stick to that tactic or they'll change it.
What do you think?
No, I'm intrigued with what happens at Lord's. There's a couple of things. I think Pat Cummins will be honest and open with his team and talk about the tactical side of bowling on day one. You know, they didn't get the tactics right on day one because they allowed England too many singles, particularly in that first session. I don't think we'll see that again. I think they'll squeeze England a little bit more so and try and force the big shots early and then maybe spread the field when a batter or 2 gets in. Ben Stokes won't declare again. No. He won't declare again because those 30-40 runs, you know, if you'd have asked Ben Stokes this morning, would you have liked Joe to get another 30 on that day one? You've now got him in the bank, of course. But it's the way that he plays. He says he doesn't deal with what ifs as a captain. I love that mindset. But I will guarantee at Lord's, if they bat first and they're 393 for 8 with 20 minutes to go, I would guarantee that they'll carry on batting.
He will declare.
No, not with Joe Root 180, he will not.
He will declare because he'll be like, that's what I did last time, so I'm going to do that again.
Yeah.
But England, like, if you're looking at England, they've how many opportunities they didn't take in the field in particular has cost them the game.
Yeah. What do you think Australia will take away from this, apart from obviously the big fillip of being 1-0 up? But do you agree with Michael that there are areas of the game that they will change?
Yeah, without a doubt. They'll reflect, they'll review, they'll reflect on things that happened in the game. I know Pat Cummins will reflect on day one, as Michael Vaughan mentioned. Could he have been more proactive? Could he have done things differently? And I'm with Michael. I think there'll be a slight tweak They understand that this England side are going to go hard. They've had a lot of defensive fielders. I think you might just see maybe one of those defensive fielders come up into either a run-saving or a wicket-taking option.
Yes. And I mean, Johnny Bairstow wicket-keeping situation, we've talked a bit about that, haven't we? And we talked about the chances that were missed. It's horrible to point fingers, but because of the sort of debate about whether he should be picked or not, it's inevitable that will be talked about.
Yeah, it's Ashes cricket, Aggers. It's brutal for the reason being that there's more interest, there's more column inches, and I'll guarantee over the next few days there'll be many journalists writing about Ben Foakes, Johnny Bairstow's position. On these flat wickets, we've been saying all week, when you create opportunities, when you look at 2 or 3 of Johnny's drops, they're not even 50-50 chances, they're 95% chances that he should be taking. England won't change it. I don't think they'll make any changes. They'll try and get the bowlers fit and fresh again for Lords. They might look at someone like Mark Wood to add a bit of pace.
Yeah.
But let's be honest, the bowling attack that they had this week on this featherbed did a good enough job to win the game. They just weren't good enough to take the chances at the right time.
It was interesting that he didn't turn to Jimmy Anderson there when it really mattered at the end.
Well, I can only imagine those watching and listening when that second new ball was due. You've got the 2 greatest with the Duke ball, Stuart Broad and Jimmy Anderson, ready to go with Australia, needing 50, 40-odd 50, and he turns to Joe Root, it worked. And then all of a sudden Pat Cummins, and Cookie's absolutely right, Cummins suddenly went, I'm taking this, and hit those 2 sixes. It was amazing, actually. I was on the balcony, and those 2 sixes, from the whole ground believing that England had won the game, everyone suddenly went, hello, Pat Cummins has just sent a message to England that I'm coming after you. And then obviously the second new ball was taken, and to see no Jimmy Anderson, England's great is not taking that second new ball or not even get given a go.
Yeah.
I understand when you're in that situation. I had it in 05 where bowlers are going, they're fresh, they're continually running in hard, and Robinson and Broad, if you suddenly make the change when you're getting so close to the win or the loss, you're worried that a bowler could come on and bowl 2 or 3 loosens and they go into the stands and it's game over. So I kind of understood how he stood up to those 2, but Jimmy Anderson not taking a second new ball, it's not happened too often in his career.
No, it hasn't. Cookie, do you look at that and wonder, is there a change of hierarchy or a change of preference? Or he didn't have a great game, Anderson, to be honest. He didn't have his usual zip.
No, he didn't. But on that wicket, not many people did have the zip. But we have to be clear. Actually, we were calling for the new ball, but actually the new ball gave Australia the opportunity to score. And that's what they were discussing. When they didn't take it straight away, we were thinking, why are they not taking it? And they were worried what was about to happen. It freed up Australia. A really soft ball's hard to hit. I think what Vaughan's right. When you're in that moment, you've got 2 bowlers going. You can't. It's a big call to then get a fresh one in.
It is.
It is good. Whether he should have started with Jimmy and then gone to Ollie Robinson, I don't know. It would have been a gut call, probably because they wanted to go short at line, and Ollie Robinson actually was pretty good at pinpointing the bouncer very accurately, and that is not Jimmy's game at all. But in hindsight, you think could have done something else because the result didn't happen. So that's what Ben Stokes has seen.
You can hear the full podcast, all the reaction to a thrilling opening Ashes test on the TMS feed on BBC Sounds. Elsewhere in tennis, not a great day for the Brits. Andy Murray was beaten on his return to Queen's. Lost to Alex de Minaur in the first round, so that ends his 10-match winning streak on grass. It means his hopes of earning a seeding for Wimbledon are all but over. British number 1 Katie Boulter also suffered a first-round defeat at the Birmingham Classic, just 2 days after winning her first WTA Tour title. Royal Ascot got underway, and Paddington won the Prince of Wales Stakes to give trainer Aidan O'Brien a record 83rd victory. Chelsea have signed France striker Christopher Nkunku from RB Leipzig for £52 million. And West Ham have rejected a second bid from Arsenal for midfielder Declan Rice. We're at Hampden Park for a rain and waterlogged pitch delayed match between Scotland and Georgia. It's a Euro 2024 qualifier. There are notices up on the big screens here talking about the last train home. We're expecting this game to finish sometime between 11:15 and 11:30. We're going to be on air at least till the game finishes, until 11:30 when Nick Bright takes over here on 5 Live Sports. The hardest working ground staff at the moment in football are out there on the pitch right now, squeezing the last drops of water from the very edges of the pitch, and they've been over at the penalty boxes They seem to be the ones most heavily affected at the moment, but the pitch is passable, if not perfect, and Scotland and Georgia expected out any second now. Dan says, I don't think the game should have kicked off in those conditions, and harsh they lost the early goal, but Georgia need to get over it. The game did get underway on time, but they only played 7 minutes, and on 6 minutes Scotland got the goal that separates both sides at the moment. Callum McGregor's strike has given them that 1-0 advantage. Matthew says, welcome to Hampden Aquatic Park. Daniel says, McTominay for Scotland is a different animal, and he's had a really good first half, really good game for Scotland first half. And as Pat Nevin has been saying, as James McFadden has been saying, Steve Clarke will be a happy man taking the Scotland players in at half-time. But they're out for the second half. They want to get this one done. It's already running way ahead of schedule. Scotland against Georgia, second half about to get underway. With your commentary team and Alistair Bruce Ball.
Well, they've been mopping and squeegeeing again furiously during these sort of 15-20 minutes or so of half-time. They got the old forks out as well to irrigate the playing surface. All the people that have been helping with that just making their way off the field. Second half about to get underway. We're 3 minutes shy of 10:30 tonight on 5 Live and BBC Sounds. But crucially, in Group A, Scotland have the lead against Georgia. If they win the game, 8 points clear at the top of Group A. At the halfway stage for them in the group, Georgia will have played a game fewer, Spain will have played a game fewer, Norway have moved above Spain in the group. They've beaten Cyprus by 3-1 this evening. But if Scotland win this game, it is looking very, very good for them indeed. Top 2 teams in each of the 10 groups qualifies for Euro 2024. We are back underway. No changes in personnel at half-time. Georgia playing in the white shirts with the red trim. There's a red stripe down the middle of the front and back of the shirts, red shoulders as well, white shorts, white socks with the red tops, attacking the goal away to our right. You can still see wet patches and heavy sort of boggy bits on the pitch, but it's playing absolutely fine at the moment. Scotland all in dark blue, defending that goal away to our right, and Billy Gilmore into the side for Ryan Christie, jumping to win a header, and the ball drops just inside the Scotland half. And here's Kakabadze, and it's Lobjanidze who is caught offside. He is playing wide on the right-hand side, left footer who likes to cut back in onto that left foot. But Scotland have caught Georgia out offside a few times in the game so far.
They have, and Pat was mentioning the high defensive line. The thing that surprised me about Georgia is it seems to be that the ball is almost forced down to Lobjanidze down this right-hand side. They've got Kvaratskhelia down the left-hand side. They're barely giving them the ball.
Robertson just knocks the ball into the back of the defender. McTominay's onto it and scores with his left foot. What a hit that was! Opportunist goal. The ball broke loose. McTominay reacted quickest, set himself up, drove the shot across the wet turf in with his left foot, and incredibly in this group he's already scored 5 goals for Scotland. They lead Georgia by 2-0. What a qualification campaign they're having.
He's immense. I just said it earlier in the game, he's been colossal all the way through this game. He looks like a man playing against boys. He's power going through there, but once again, no shot whatsoever. It's down that left-hand side, Robertson. But that's a half a chance. If it's a half a chance, boy, he takes it well.
There's some finish. You're just getting a chance to see it again. It looks like live. It looked like he went for power with the laces. He actually bends it. He goes and wraps his foot round it with his left foot on the stretch and just bends it beyond the reach of Mamadashvili in goal. But what a pass it is from Kieran Tierney. Left centre back, stepping out, long ball over the top, straight to Andy Robertson. There's a slight bit of fortune and it takes a deflection. It's a really good first touch, but what a goal from Scott McTominay. He scored one like that against, I think it was Spain here as well. Brilliant midfield play. You spoke about him being a midfielder that is better going forward. Touch and hit once again. It is a magnificent finish on the stretch beyond the reach of the goalkeeper.
5 goals in the group, came off the bench against Cyprus and scored 2 late ones there, scored both in the 2-0 win against Spain, and has scored tonight as well. You know, at the end of a season in which he's not had as much game time as he'd like for Manchester United, but as our contributor said at half-time, pulls on that Scotland shirt at the moment, and Scott McTominay is a force to be reckoned with. So Scotland lead Georgia by 2-0. Georgia, who we know were not keen to complete this game this evening after the players were taken off, with Georgia 1-0 down after 7 minutes, but now they find themselves 2 goals behind. Lobjanidze plays it forward to Mikotadze. Mikotadze is able to regain it after Georgia had lost possession. Plays it back to young Gagnidze with the yellow boots in midfield. Right-footed pass out to the right back, Kakabadze. Slides a pass into the feet of Mikotadze again. He lays the ball back into midfield. Goes wide right to Kakabadze. Scotland got to concentrate on the defending now. Kakabadze into the Scotland penalty area on the right. Plays it back to Gagnidze. Curling ball across the face of the Scotland penalty area. McTominay lays it back, and McTominay gets it back rather fortuitously, but that long stride is taken away and into the Georgian half. Gives it to Lyndon Dykes onto his right foot. Little drag from Dykes on the edge of the box. He's tackled, but McGregor is there to pick up the loose ball for Scotland. Finds Gilmour. Gilmour back to McGregor on the left. Robertson's making the run on the outside. Just keeps that ball in play. Robertson back to McGregor. McGregor across to Gilmour, and Scotland have the ball, and it's with Kieran Tierney. Tierney midway inside the Georgian half in the inside left channel. Wide to Robertson. K. Sarrar rings around Hampden Park at the moment.
But it's not Wembley, it's Germany.
Very good, Pat. And here's Tierney. And Scotland in total control of this game and this group. Tierney plays back to Jack Hendry, so it's Angus Gunn in goal, Porteous, Hendry, Tierney, the three centre-backs, Hickey and Robertson, the wing-backs, Gilmour, McTominay, McGregor, McTominay and McGregor, the two goal scorers tonight, McGinn and Lyndon Dykes for Scotland. Here's Gilmour. Gilmour with his left foot slides a pass back into his own half. Hendry's got all the time in the world here to look left and right and up the middle of the pitch. Low pass to his left. Finds Tierney. Tierney's got that one wrong. He's overhit it to the left, looking for Robertson, and it's out for a throw into Georgia.
Just on the point with Scott McTominay, you look at his size, his stature, his attributes, and a lot of the time he's played in a defensive role. But naturally, when he was younger, he played more offensively. And that's why Scotland are getting the best out of him, because you've got Billy Gilmour in there that's going to just mop up. He's going to read the situation, and Scott McTominay, certainly in a Scotland jersey, looks far better when he's facing the play, when he's going in and getting in support, and his finishing has been incredible. It really has.
Lobjanidze chases the ball for Georgia down the right. Tierney's there first for Scotland, clears on the turn, it stays in play. Dykes chests it down, then he's tackled by Kverkvelia. And the ball goes out for a throw into Scotland just inside the Georgia half on the left. So they've got Georgi Mamachvili. Got to do this all again now at the start of the second half in goal. Back four of Ottar Kakabadze, the skipper Guram Kashir, Kverkvelia I've just mentioned, and Lasha Diwali at left back. Sitting midfielder is Nika Kvekvaskiri. Kiteshvili in the midfield plays a little further forward. Gagnidze, the 20-year-old, in there making his first competitive start as well. Lobjanidze wide on the right. Kravachskelia, Scotland have managed to keep him quiet so far, wide on the left. And Mikotadze, getting used to them now, playing through the middle for Georgia, who has scored in both games for Georgia in this group. In their draw against Norway back in March and the win against Cyprus on Saturday. Pat.
Yeah, well done again. Not many chances for the Georgians to get forward. Scotland have started the second half well, but Billy Gilmour, I have to say, he's really caught the eye again tonight. We know he passes and he holds the ball. His tackling and closing down and reading the play has been magnificent.
He's won a few headers as well.
Honestly, he's been brilliant in that. It just shows you that he actually can play that pivot role on his own. He doesn't actually need McGregor beside him. So McGregor knows this, and he's just going a little bit further forward.
It shows you the strength of the squad as well, because Steve Clarke obviously recognised Saturday against Norway was going to be a different type of game. You're going to have to be solid defensively.
Here's McTominay, wide on the right for Scotland, takes his time, slides the pass to Hickey, couldn't quite control it. McGregor in with an interception just inside the penalty area. The ball runs away from him and goes behind for a goal kick. If Scotland win this game tonight, that will be 14 wins in their last 17 competitive internationals. That is phenomenal form.
At the moment, I was also thinking things like Gunn so far still hasn't lost a goal to open play. Not one. Just the only person who scored was Haaland from a penalty spot. And by the way, nearly got to that one. So it's great defending, great goalkeeping, but at the moment it just looks quite fabulous for Scotland.
Gagnidze. Now the ball's floated high down the right. Robertson backpedals, wins the header. Gilmour in with the next touch. Keeps it in play brilliantly and gets it back to Robertson. Dykes is now battling for it. Loses out against Kverkvelia. And the ball's back with Gagnidze. Left-footed pass low into the feet of Kravachskelia. Hickey onto him. Kvaratskhelia wriggles away, running with the ball now up to the edge of the Scotland box, plays it to Mikatadze. Now it's to Kiteshvili, just tackled. Brilliantly timed interception by Andy Robertson, and Robertson has the presence of mind to look up and find Gilmore towards Dykes. Dykes is caught from behind. That'll be a free kick for Scotland.
And these are the reasons why Lyndon Dykes is in the side. You know, that physicality, being in the right position, making sure, first of all, secure possession of the ball, use your body to get in front of the defender, buy a foul if you have to. We had it earlier, you know, they're in trouble down the left hand side, it gets hooked up the line, he chests it down, wins a throw in. It's taking the pressure off your team. People look at the goals, and of course you want your striker to score goals, but Lyndon Dykes does so much for this team to help them get up the pitch, to take pressure off when required, and sometimes it goes unnoticed.
One more goal for him for Scotland. He'll be into double figures. Split loyalties, of course, on the Ashes for Lyndon Dykes today. Born on the Gold Coast, Scotland international. Australia winning the first test at Edgbaston by 2 wickets. An absolute thriller. All the reaction in the TMS podcast, available via the BBC Sounds app. That's where you'll find the Football Daily as well, and the Football Daily is going to be chock full after all the action and drama we've had here this evening. Scotland leading Georgia by 2 goals to 0. McGinn is looking for the run of McTominay, who again is the furthest forward for Scotland there. McGinn couldn't find him, and Georgia are able to clear, but only as far as Porteous. He read that well, chests it down, gets the ball back from Hickey, falls to the ground as he's tackled. No free kick. Porteous manages to get a foot on the ball, plays it back to McGregor. Oh, clever little ball looking for McTominay. McGregor again shoots just wide, slices it wide from the edge of the box, and behind it goes for a goal kick to Georgia.
This is delicious to watch. Scotland are playing this start of the second half, the way they've moved the ball about, the way they understand each other's movement. They look unstoppable at the moment. You wouldn't be surprised if they scored another goal just now. And I mean, that build-up play, the tackling, the comfort, the confidence, it is a superb display this second half, isn't it?
Maintaining the possession, you know, that they're on the attack, they lose it, they win it back, and quickly then it's a chance, a shot at goal. They've done it all night. It's been excellent. Callum McGregor's another one who's been absolutely outstanding tonight.
Georgia making a couple of changes early in this second half, so having just read out the 11 names, we've got 2 more to do in a second as well. Lights going on the mobile phones around the stadium. Glorious night now in Glasgow. There are still some dark clouds above us, but they're set against a fairly light sky elsewhere. No threat of any rain now. The pitch still wet, but playing absolutely fine, and Scotland leading Georgia by 2 goals to 0. McTominay with the second early in the second half. Scotland standing off Georgia at the moment. Stadium falls silent as Georgia bring it forward up to the halfway line. Pass through the middle here, picked up by Mikatadze, blocked by Hendry. Gilmore in sharply there to win it for Scotland. McGregor's under pressure, plays back into his own penalty area. Tierney stretches, controls it with his left foot, and Andy Robertson wins the throw for Scotland. So Budu Zividzadze has come on, the number 8, who's a striker for Georgia, and Georgi Gokalashvili is on as well. So those are the 2 changes for Georgia. We've had 12 minutes played in the second half here. Throw in towards Dykes. McGregor wins the next header. Dykes controls that well. Finds McGinn. McGinn wide to McGregor. McGregor was thinking about an early ball across the pitch, and now it comes from Robertson to McTominay. Lovely first touch. Good strength from McTominay. Still going, right-footed drive just wide of the left-hand post. Absolutely full of confidence at the moment, Scott McTominay, and going very close to a third. Georgia have taken the goal kick quickly, and it's gone out for a throw-in to Georgia wide on the left. I was just thinking, as you two and Pat, you were just saying how delicious this is to watch. You know, as former Scotland internationals who've represented your country with distinction, but also watched them go through plenty of hard times as well. This must be hugely satisfying, enjoyable.
It's just everywhere you look in Scotland's team just now. It's every player so comfortable on it, and you think, I don't really know how often we've played like this. You know, utter belief in the ball, confident, holding the ball, taking it in tight areas. Billy Gilmore is astonishing out there just now. He is playing like Jorginho at his very, very, very best.
Here he is, gets the ball from Robertson, lays it off to McGregor. Flowing movement from the dark blue shirts. Robertson pokes the ball outside the defender, tries to get the cross in on the byline, was sort of body checked as he did so by Kiteshvili. Referee happy with it, and Georgia are able to play out. Goes wide to the right to Mikatadze. Mikatadze, the centre forward, sweeping pass all the way out to the left hand side, controlled and laid off here And Scotland back in numbers inside their own half. Kvaratskhelia, audacious ball with the outside of his right foot. Cross comes in from Lobjanidze. Hendry is there, clears it first time. Comes back out to Kakabadze. Dykes is in there with the tackle for Scotland. Lobjanidze gets the loose ball, and Georgia come back again to the halfway line. Scotland 2, Georgia 0. Just over half an hour remaining here at Hampden Park.
Just looking over to see if Scotland are considering any substitutions. 2 games in such close proximity. Stevie Clark will be looking for any tiring legs out there.
Nice long break after this one for Scotland's footballers and plenty of other footballers as well, in terms of the major football on the way. After tonight's commentary here at Hampden Park, I guess we're looking at the Women's World Cup, which starts on the 20th of July. That is a month today. Shot from range is a fierce one. Over the bar from Kiteshvili. Gunn is able to let that fly over. Goes safely behind for the goal kick, and Scotland still lead Georgia by 2-0. England's women with a warm-up game against Portugal Saturday the 1st of July. Stadium MK kicks off at 3:15. And actually the under-21s European Championship starts tomorrow, being held in Romania and Georgia. So watching Georgia this evening, England involved in the tournament, and they play the Czech Republic in their first game on Thursday, which is a 5 o'clock kickoff. Angus Gunn clears the ball with his right foot, way to the left. Dykes wins the header, keeps it in play. Kushia, and back to the goalkeeper it goes for Georgia. McGinn starts to close down. Mamarchvili scoops it high in the air. Robertson volleys it forward at pace. Lobjanidze can't keep it in play. Throw in for Scotland. Scotland 2, Georgia 0.
You were asking about enjoying Scotland after
James,
all the failures. Since Steve Clark's come in, the job that he's done, initially solid, defensive, hard to beat, didn't offer too much going forward, but built a resilience within the squad to make sure you knew that you could rely on every single person that played, either in the starting 11 or coming onto the pitch. The evolution of that squad and that team, the identity that he's brought to the team, solid, organised, hard to beat, technically very, very good footballers, very good in attack and defence. The transition from defence to attack, the transition from attack to defence, and he's built that. And you look at even the lineup tonight: Tierney, Hendry, Porteous. It would have been Hanley, Suter, Cooper. So the options that we have, Nathan Patterson's missing as well. The options that Scotland have is remarkable. Billy Gilmour's the other example, coming into the game tonight, because you're going to have more of the ball. Having a different style against Norway from tonight just shows you how far Scotland have come.
Scotland leading Georgia by 2-0. Next break in play, I'm going to bring Roddy Forsyth in on that conversation as well. Here's Andy Robertson. Robertson's ball looking for Dykes, edge of the box. Dykes just beaten to it, cleared up towards the substitute Zibidzadze. He's fouled. Georgia want to take that quickly. Billy Gilmour stops them from doing that. Roddy?
Yeah, 2 quick questions. Is that spray coming from the Scotland players' boots, or is it contrails? And secondly, which is unplayable, the pitch or Scotland?
Thank you, Roddy. Ball killed out to the right-hand side to Kakabadze, Georgia's right back. Kagnidze comes back into the Georgia half. Kvaratskhelia, right-footed pass across to the skipper Kushia. Forward it goes. Kvaratskhelia tries something clever with the back heel. Scotland are onto it quickly, and here's McTominay. McTominay tries to slide in Dykes. Dykes might get their goalkeeper out just in time, and actually uses the wet pitch to his advantage to slide out and grab the ball with both hands. Pat Nevin.
Do you know, if McTominay does leave Manchester United, there are going to be a bunch of clubs that are waiting for him, and they're not going to play him as a second defensive midfielder. He has got so much to offer going through there. I mean, he just runs past people totally and utterly effortlessly, and you're talking about enjoying it. It's getting close to almost relaxing watching Scotland. That's the thing I never thought I'd say.
It's comfortable.
At the moment it is. I mean, you close the goal and it can change in a minute, but it just shows the things that are going right for Scotland just now. And a couple of years ago we were worried at right back. Was that going to be right? You're looking at Scotland coming down the right backs now. Hickey has been magnificent
all over
tonight.
the pitch. The one issue we have is obviously striker. Shea Adams missing, so Lyndon Dykes is in. But everybody else, we look so strong. Goalkeeping could be an issue in terms of depth.
Good skill from Kvaratskhelia on the run into the Scotland penalty area. Gilmour's there to block him, and then Gilmour makes a challenge on Lobjanidze. Lobjanidze goes down as if he was caught. Gilmour was down as well. The referee saw it and says play on. VAR is in action, of course, this evening, looking at all those sorts of incidents. Scotland play the ball out from their own half, and it goes out for a throw into Scotland on the right. The referee blows the whistle for a second. Another Georgian change coming. James and Pat will just have a little look. It was good skill from Kvaratskhelia initially. Gilmour then in with a tackle on him. Oh, Lobjanidze ran into Gilmour, goes down holding his left leg. I'm not sure he was really caught, and that is Lobjanidze's last action in the game. Off he goes, and on comes Zuriko Davitashvili for Georgia. Scotland leading Georgia by 2-0 and going 8 points clear of them and of Norway at the top of Group A. So it looks like Scotland will be playing in Germany next summer, back-to-back European Championships. That will be for them, and that will be one thing I think Steve Clarke will want to improve on in terms of the performances in the last European Championship. Got the 0-0 draw against England at Wembley, lost the 2 home games against Czech Republic and Croatia. Lyndon Dykes chases a long ball forward. Kushia back to his goalkeeper under pressure. Mamachvili side foots it out well with his left foot. Kushia away to the left. Georgia got to be careful here. McTominay, desperate to win that ball back, has been penalised. Concedes the free kick, and Georgia take it quickly. Scotland lead Georgia 2-0.
It must be horrible if you get the ball in a Georgian player and you get McTominay running. It's like being tackled by an octopus. He's absolutely all over him there, and doesn't seem to be running out of energy. And Stevie Clarke, usually at these times you're thinking, okay, he would probably make a change if he felt there was one needed right this second. Oh, who's struggling? Yeah. Everyone's loving being out there. Everyone looks pretty lively at the moment, and well, why change a good thing? But a wee bit of energy. Clarke seems to have got it right recently.
Gilmour floated ball with his right foot, looking for Robertson, didn't quite have enough on it. Here is the third substitute, Davitashvili. Where's the number 9 for Georgia? Mikotadze caught in possession. Scotland, you get the feeling, fancy more goals this evening if the opportunities come. The passes are flowing, zipping it around.
What a lovely feeling. The applause they get for playing that ball out there. And it's such a comfortable, trying to be pressed. Not one Scotland player looking the slightest bit moved or panicked. They're all so comfortable in the ball. They all want it in tight spaces, and at the moment it looks very good indeed.
25 minutes remaining. McGregor almost runs into trouble for Scotland there, but the ball bounces back, eventually goes to Tierney. Hendry opens things up for Scotland. Floated pass to the right, controlled by Hickey in his bright orange boots. There's McTominay. McTominay plays the 1-2 with Hickey, lays it off. Back to Porteous. McTominay still on the move inside his own half. Involved again to Hendry. Here's McTominay, central midfield, and finds Tierney. And again you hear the applause from the Scotland fans. They recognise the good work that is being done. Tierney strokes it to Robertson. Robertson, clever ball down the left. McGregor chases. McGregor tries to go on the outside. Can't quite get round Kirkvalia there. Georgia play out from the back, and here they come down the right hand side. Davitashvili chased back by Andy Robertson. Robertson fouls him and picks up a yellow card for his pains. Scotland 2, Georgia 0.
Andy Robertson had made the run inside Callum McGregor there as well, and he'd done well to get back, and he just felt like he had to make the sliding challenge. But it just shows you again, they're so comfortable, they want to go and get that third goal, but they're not switching off on their duties. I know he makes a foul, but he's working so hard to get back in there, and it's not a bad foul to give away.
Except the only thing you think at the moment it could really affect Scotland badly, if you did go down to 10 men, if you were lucky enough to get to any of the 2 players that have been booked to get another booking, that would make it a bit concerning.
Yeah. Ball played back here by Georgia into their own half. Dykes saw an opportunity to press Gagnidze. Gagnidze gets rid of it quickly, but gets it back now from the goalkeeper of the starting 11 tonight, actually, for Georgia, other than Kvaratskhelia. Not really household names. Playing their football in 10 different countries, I noted down. Spain, Poland, Slovakia, Azerbaijan. This is club football. Russia, Cyprus, Austria, Turkey, France, and Italy. Here's Kakabadze, the right back who plays in Poland. Right-footed ball to Gagnidze. Gagnidze tries to sweep it out to the left. Hickey read it, intercepts it, and away he goes for Scotland down the right. Chased back here and fouled. And another yellow card comes out tonight. And that this time will be a free kick for Scotland, and that was Gokalashvili, the substitute, who is booked for Georgia.
It's brilliant from Aaron Hickey. He's starting position, almost inviting that crossfield pass. He reads it, cuts it out, and then he's on. He's taking off, he's running forward at pace. Goklashvili, no option but to bring him down, but it's brilliant from Aaron Hickey. Another one who's been well, they've all been excellent. We keep picking out individuals, but as a team they've been absolutely outstanding.
McGinn backing into his man, doing well, laying the ball off to Hickey. Little switch pass looking for McGregor on the run into the penalty area. Kushia, good defending, just holds McGregor off and allows the ball to roll beyond the pair of them and go behind for a goal kick. Georgia take that goal kick quickly. So we're into the last quarter of the game, and Scotland are going to be making it, looks like they're going to be making it 4 wins out of 4 at the start of this group.
They'll be aware of the fact that we scored 2 late goals in the last game.
Yeah.
Can't take anything at all for granted. Just go back to Hickey for a moment there. Right, any Brentford fans, just get your fingers in your ears. He's not going to be that long, is he? He just looks to me like a player who can go to the very, very top, one of the top 5 or 6 teams in England. I mean, I do remember his first game for Hearts here against Celtic Cup final. He's 16. His progress has been stunning throughout.
Left back.
Yeah,
at
left back.
He's so comfortable with both feet. And the thing is, he leaves Hearts for £1 million.
Yeah,
incredible.
James McFadden and Pat Nevin with us on 5 Live and BBC Sounds. Football Daily for all the analysis and reaction tomorrow morning. Available via the BBC Sounds app. The TMS podcast as well will be well worth a listen after Australia's thrilling win in the first Ashes test. And as I said, next one, second test. They come in a rush this summer. Second test starts at Lord's a week tomorrow, the women's Ashes test, and there is only one test in the Ashes series for the women, as well as all the limited overs cricket that make up that Ashes competition. Well, that test match starts at Trent Bridge on Thursday, and of course we'll have full commentary of that across Sports Extra, the BBC Sport website and app. And one of the great things actually about the coverage this summer is that you can get those in-play highlights on the BBC Sport website. So if you're listening on Test Match Special, you've not got the pictures, you can find them pretty soon after the main events on the BBC Sport website. Scotland leading Georgia 2-0. Scott McTominay bringing it forward for Scotland down the right. Here's Hickey, we were just talking about him, the Brentford fullback, still full of running, playing the ball back to Gilmore. Gilmore to Jack Hendry. Hendry forward to Gilmore, back to Hendry, making Georgia chase here. Hendry spots some space to run into, crosses the halfway line in a central position, lays it off to the right to Hickey. Hickey threateningly moves forward, left-footed pass forward to McGinn, tries to switch it back to Hickey, and the challenge from Gagnidze comes in just in time. It's poked behind for a corner to Scotland.
Just the right hand side just showing they can do it just as well as the left as well. Aaron Hickey, the first half is more about defending, he didn't get forward as much. Second half he's certainly bursting forward. John McGinn with a nice little reverse pass into his path, and he just can't get on the end of it, but just so much enjoyment out of this Scotland performance.
Honestly, watch it. I know it's Georgia, right, and okay, they're not one of the biggest teams in the world, but we've done this to Spain as well, and all teams. This is one of the most enjoyable Scotland teams to watch that I've ever seen, because of the beautiful way they pass it and move and work for each other.
McGinn back to Gilmore. Gilmore's cross in from the right, and the header's over the crossbar. What a chance for Ryan Porteous, and he just couldn't keep the header down. Great chance to make it 3-0, but it's over and behind for the goal kick.
I mean, he'll be gutted there. It was a brilliant ball, and they were queuing up. Had he not gone for it, I actually think Lyndon Dykes might have had a chance. He's left. He's probably had the shout, hasn't he? And he's kind of dodged down a little bit.
Yeah, as soon as Porteous heads it over, Lyndon Dykes has a look down at him as if to say, you just stick to defending and I'll do the attacking. But he had an option to knock that down to Hendry as well, who was free.
Billy Gilmore very nearly nicked a ball high up for Scotland there, but Georgia have managed to keep it. Scotland 2, Georgia 0. Diagonal ball gets Georgia moving down the left hand side. Kvaratskhelia. Scotland getting bodies around him, he's still going, lays the ball off into the Scotland penalty area. It goes. Tierney manages to get a block in, cleared up towards the halfway line. Scotland player down, that's McGinn, but he doesn't get the free kick. Kakabadze plays it to the right to Davitashvili. Davitashvili back to Kiteshvili. Kakabadze again, low cross into the near post. Gunn flicks a right hand at it, and the shot is driven into the side netting, and that was very close to a first goal for Georgia this evening. Sweetly struck, and Angus Gunn was nowhere near, having initially been at his near post. The strike came from Mika Tadze, hit it well, just the wrong side of the post.
Space in the right.
He did, but it looked like he was in. Hits the side net and he's got a huge area to aim for. I wonder if Ryan Porteous just covering does enough to close that gap. He doesn't. It's just he just doesn't catch it the way he would like. But that's that warning sign that Georgia are still in it.
I agree, and I think that's the warning sign that makes Stevie Clark consider changes more. But I think I would say next 3 or 4 minutes we think, okay, there's a little bit of tiredness there. We didn't get out quick enough to the right hand side there. We need the legs.
He was chatting to John Carver for a fair bit there, so I would imagine changes at a foot.
Scotland 2, Georgia 0. Here come Georgia again. Kakabadze runs into the Scotland half. McGregor comes across to cover. Play back to the 20-year-old Gagnidze. Kakabadze again. Plays back to Kirk Valia, the centre-back, across to the skipper Kushia. McGinn backs off him, crosses the halfway line. Not a great pass from him, intercepted easily by Robertson. Finds Gilmore towards McGregor on the halfway line. Gagnidze tries to pull him back. Scotland move the ball around deftly here. Robertson to Tierney, back to Hendry. Hendry sees Gilmore move into space inside the Scotland midfield. Lovely ball from him out wide to Hickey, and Hickey suddenly has space to run into. Plays it infield to McGinn trying one of those John McGinn turns, and Gagnidze just can't see round either side of John McGinn there. Grabs his shirt. Gagnidze now won't back off from the McGinn free kick that he was trying to take quickly, and so Gagnidze gets booked. And by the way, just talking about this Scotland performance, and I know it's not the most important game because the competitive games are the most important games, but as an Englishman sitting inside Hampden Park and thinking about England coming here for the friendly on 12th of September.
But they weren't bad last night.
No, they were right. That's true, Pat. That is very true, yeah.
I love how you said friendly there, Ali. Come on, there's no such thing.
Game. Robertson down the left to McGregor. Are Scotland going to find a third goal this evening? What have we got? 15 minutes plus added time remaining. On air tonight until 11:30 with 5 Live Sport, and then Nick Bright will be taking over and taking you into the early hours. Scotland leading Georgia by 2-0. Georgia throw inside their own half on the right. Kakabadze, the right back, spinning the ball in his hands. Gilmore comes across to intercept. Blocks it on the volley, knocks it out for another throw to Georgia. Changes are coming, 3 of them. Kevin Nisbet, John Suter and Ryan Jack are the 3 players coming on.
And it just goes to show you, Nisbet didn't play at all last time, Suter didn't play at all last time, neither did Jack. That's depth. That Stevie Clark believes in those 3 players to bring on. When this game, it's not over yet, there's 15 minutes. If you lose a goal, but he knows it in his legs in there. He trusts all the way through that squad now.
John McGinn tries to make a tackle on the halfway line, fails to do so. Ball is crossed in from the left, hopefully, and straight into the arms of the Scotland goalkeeper Angus Gunn, who's in what colour is that outfit? It's not quite pink, it's a very sort of light red purpley colour that he wears for Scotland here with his big bright white gloves. Tierney plays the ball to Hendry towards Hickey inside his own half. Hickey, lovely measured pass with his left foot. Those 3 Scotland subs getting the last instructions from Steve Clark below us as Scotland continue to play inside their own half. Tierney to McTominay forward to McGinn. First touch with his right foot, pass with his left out to Hickey on the right. 10 yards inside the Georgia half. Sky darkening all the time above us here in Glasgow. Clever ball from Gilmore. Here's McGinn. McGinn's past the Dykes, tees himself up. Powerful shot is blocked on the edge of the box. Falls from McGinn. McGinn to McTominay, back to McGregor. Scotland trying to find another opportunity here. Now they've lost it. Georgia fancy attacking on the break, and this could be dangerous. Kvaratskhelia running at Porteous, skips past Porteous easily, edge of the box, dummies the shot, delays the pass. Here it comes to Mikatadze looking for the scoop pass into the face of one of the Scotland players who's gone down. The game will stop. It's Porteous who caught that flush in the face, and Scotland will be able to make their 3 substitutions. We've got 30 minutes plus added time to play. Scotland lead Georgia 2-0.
Just a wee bit unlucky there. I think it was McGregor just made a slight miss pass, but before that the passing was superb. Scotland were looking as if they were going to tear open that defence again. Didn't manage to do so, but again looking really good, really comfortable going forward, and got a chance to make those changes that they wanted to make now. Right,
Pat and James are scribbling these down. Tierney is coming off for Suter. Callum McGregor's coming off for Ryan Jack. And Kevin Nisbet will be the last to come on for Lyndon Dykes. Kevin Nisbet is going to be playing his football in the English Championship next season, having joined Millwall this summer from Hibs. He's about to win his 11th cap for Scotland, and all three players coming off quite rightly, being given a fabulous round of applause. Scotland's attitude to this game tonight, given everything that has gone on, the football's been great, but the attitude has been absolutely superb as well.
As it has been, over the last number of years. Steve Clarke spoke about his demeanour, the way he is. He's never too up nor too down. He keeps that level, building confidence, belief within the group. I'm going to say something about the substitution. When the ball was given away by Callum McGregor, Billy Gilmour's trying to get back. He looks like he's cramping up, and I thought he'd maybe make that decision to maybe take him off and bring that freshness into that area, but I'm sure he's not one that they've been looking to come off and want to stay on.
Well, also the fact he had actually controlled the game. The last parts of the second half, Billy Gilmour's totally controlled it. So he'd hate to take him off.
McTominay chasing the ball here inside the Georgia half, putting the goalkeeper under pressure. He wasn't very close to him, but Mamardashvili's played the ball right out of play. The two substitutes there for Scotland very nearly linked up to put Nisbet through. It was Suter who brought a lovely ball out of his own half and then tried to whip a pass over the top of the Georgian back line. It was only just headed away. Scotland 2, Georgia 0. Just over 10 minutes remaining. Scotland going 8 points clear of Georgia and Norway at the top of Group A tonight in qualification for Euro 2024. Georgia, of course, if they don't finish in the top two, Spain in this group as well, remember, are Nations League winners. They've done well in the Nations League actually in recent seasons, being promoted from League D and then from League C. Here's McTominay. His driving run is stopped with a sliding challenge by Kushia. Georgia able to bring the ball away. Played up towards the halfway line. Now across to Gagnidze in midfield. Across to Kurt Valia. Kakabadze, the right back, tries to slide one down the line. McGinn looking to win it for Scotland. But it's Davitashvili who just gets past him. Gagnidze again, just inside his own half. Left-footed pass forward to Mikatadze. Bit of pace from him on the turn. Gets past the first challenge of Suter. Can't get past Billy Gilmour. What a job he's done in there with that challenge. Georgia get it again. Mikatadze, little scoop ball over the top. Might be a chance. Goalkeeper gun off his line very quickly and makes a really important intervention for Scotland. Porteous smashes it out for a throw.
That's excellent goalkeeping from Angus Gunn. He's off his line quick. He knows he's going to take a sore one. He doesn't care. He comes out and gathers the ball, snuffs out that attack. It was a brilliant little chip ball over the top of the back line, and he does really well to come out, and Ryan Porteous taking absolutely no chance. He's almost cleared the stand.
Here's Gagnidze again, playing the ball across the Georgian midfield to Zivizadze. Kakabadze, the right back, little step over. His pass into the box is red. Sliding challenge from Ryan Jack. Missed it, but now Robertson, little pass on the half volley looking for Jack inside the Scotland half, but that doesn't come off, and Kakabadze runs back to collect it, and the Georgia player is down. Now that was the sliding challenge from Ryan Jack looking to win the ball. Referee saw the challenge, didn't get the ball, did he? And caught the man.
See when you go in like that with a straight leg, I think there was an audible ooh around this place when they made that challenge there. I thought he tried to half get up there, but when you go to ground, he gets a bit of the ball,
yeah, I think he pokes it away from Gagnidze. I think he's the one that makes the contact. He's come off worse, maybe. Ryan Jack's obviously been stronger in that challenge and might have just hurt his knee, twist his knee or whatever, and with the way that he's followed through, but no foul for me.
He's not acting it, definitely not acting it. One thing I would say about the Georgians, we do focus understandably a lot in Scotland just now. They've played really well, they're 2 goals up. The Georgians, for their possession, have not been throwing themselves about, driving about, making a mockery of the game, which I kind of half suspected might happen with the conditions and with how angry they were before the game. Actually, I admire them for the way that they've not played brilliantly, but they've played pretty fairly.
Yeah.
The good thing is they're a good side. So we're talking about the position Scotland are in. They'll take points off in Norway. They'll give Spain a tough game.
Here's Mikatadze bringing it forward for Georgia. Into the penalty area he goes, stopped in his tracks in the end. Scotland might fancy something on the counter. Jack Hendry struggling, he stopped playing for the moment. McGinn going for the long ball, slices it down the middle of the pitch. He's never going to find Nisbet with that, and it's collected by the goalkeeper, who then drops the ball and looks at his gloves as if to blame those on this wet pitch this evening. Almost forgotten that now, but then you look at your watch and remember we're at 11:05. We're still not at the end of this football game. A delay of almost an hour and 45 minutes. played about 7 minutes. Callum McGregor scored in the first 6, but all that rain had come down before kick-off. You could see in the first 30 seconds of the game that the pitch wasn't really playable. Georgia didn't want to play the game this evening, eventually persuaded to do so, and now they're trailing Scotland by 2-0. Kvaratskhelia, lovely mover with the ball. Pass hits the back of Billy Gilmore's legs. Kvaratskhelia gets it again, lays it off to his left, and Georgia move into the Scotland half, and Kvaratskhelia is deep now, walking pace, sees an opportunity to float a diagonal right. Easy header away for Robertson. McGinn looking for a pass forward. Gilmore makes a run. McGinn decides to take it himself. McGinn then just flicks it inside to Gilmore. Chip pass down the left, looking for Nisbet. Chested down by the defender, played to Kakabadze. Kenny McLean, hero of course on Saturday in Oslo, waiting to come on for Scotland. That was a fabulous late goal they got there. Really nice layoff from Lyndon Dykes into the path of McLean to score that winner. And Scotland now trying to close this game out and have some defending to do. Just over 5 minutes to play, leading by 2-0. Kiteshvili gets the ball back again, 30 yards out, central position. Little 1-2 with Zivizadze. Pass to the right to Kakabadze. Steps into the Scotland penalty area, then out again. Back to Kiteshvili, looking to make space for the shot. Loads of blue shirts around him. Stumbles his way into the box. Lays it back to the edge of the box to Zivizadze. Cross to the left. Curling effort. And it just grazes the top of Angus Gunn's goal. He jumped as if to make a save. Didn't touch it, so that will be a goal kick for Scotland. And Billy Gilmore, Pat Nevin, is going to be replaced by Kenny McLean. Billy Gilmore brought into the team tonight to replace Ryan Christie, to sit in that central midfield role. I mean, he's the one who hasn't had that much football for Brighton in the season just gone, but he's been brilliant tonight, hasn't he?
He's been magnificent. He is a massive part of the future of the Scotland national team. A number of others are getting tired just now, but listen to the reaction you've got from him. And by the way, the reaction you get from Ken McLean here, listen to that. Kenny's not always been, getting the big ups from the Scotland fans a lot of the time. I think he's shown it now. The penalty he scored recently, the big moments and that final goal in Oslo was just brilliant.
That's my favourite Scotland goal now.
Really?
Really.
That doesn't include your own though, James, surely.
Well, when you're scoring goals and it's your own, it's your job, but when you're watching the game as a fan, and that comes to Kenny McLean and it's on his right foot, and you're thinking he's maybe going to go for power, it's just such a beautiful finish. He just caresses it beyond the goalkeeper. The pressure, the time of the game, the fact that it's been grueling, it was an incredible moment. And yeah, that's my favourite Scotland goal.
I would add on top of that, I don't usually go and watch goals back a lot. I went home and watched those last 4 minutes about 5 times the day after being in Oslo. This is back, and I know a lot of people did exactly the same thing. It was such a magical end to the game, and thank you, Scotland. I've done that a few times recently. I remember Kelly was here, was it the Israel game, the Denmark game?
Yeah.
Very similar feelings.
Scotland leading Georgia by 2-0 tonight. We're into the 87th minute of the game. Georgia attacking down the left. Ryan Jack and Aaron Hickey double up to block the cross. Goes out for a throw-in to Georgia. Back towards Kiteshvili. Jack nicks it off him, and he's caught by Kiteshvili as he did so that'll be a free kick for Scotland. Steve Clarke is going to be very, very satisfied with the progress this team are making under him. Appointed in May 2019, qualified for Euro 2020 as we mentioned by coming through those playoffs via their Nations League performances, the penalty shootout wins against Israel and Serbia, and then of course finished runners-up to Denmark in qualification for Qatar 2022, and lost that playoff game to Ukraine here, which wasn't Scotland's best performance in all the performances they've been under Steve Clarke on a big night. Ukraine were too good for them that evening. They of course were beaten by Wales, who did go to Qatar, but now Scotland have got their sights firmly set on Euro 2024, and they've won a throw-in wide on the right. Last train from Mount Florida, we were told 11:58, so seats being vacated at the moment. 10 past 11 in Glasgow. Hickey can't keep that ball in on the right, throw-in for Georgia.
I'm massively impressed with the amount of fans that have stayed in. Considering what time it is just now, long journeys home there has to be done, but they want to be here at the end to give the players the role that they deserve.
Fancy a third goal, do Scotland. They've won it inside the Georgian half. Hickey though is looking back now, and Playing a high ball back to the halfway line, awkward for Suter, stoops to win the header, nods it to his right. That was Kenny McLean, gives it to Robertson. John McGinn over on the left-hand side for Scotland, inside the Georgia half, and very happily keeping the ball. Scotland were into the 89th minute of this game. Suter back to Hendry. Hendry to Porteous. Porteous plays a little 1-2 with McLean. There's McLean again, takes it nicely under pressure, works it out to the left to Robertson. McGinn started to make the run forward. Robertson plays it back here to John Suter on the left-hand side now, and replaced Kieran Tierney of Scotland's back three. Hendry, clever turn from McLean in midfield to lose his man. Forward to McGinn. Opportunities presenting themselves for Scotland, because I can see Robertson in a lot of space on the left-hand side. Takes a touch just outside the penalty area. Can Scotland finish with a bang? McLean to Jack. Back to McLean. Wide on the left is Robertson, midway inside the Georgian half. Running towards him here is Nisbet. Couldn't keep it. He's tackled, and Georgia are able to bring it away. Scotland 2, Georgia 0. Kushia plays across to the left to Gokalashvili. Back to Kushia. Forward here to Kiteshvili. Little 1-2 with Gagnidze. Late change possibly coming for Scotland as well with Ryan Christie. Great run from Kiteshvili. Eventually ran into Jack Hendry. Good solid challenge from him. And the ball runs out to Gokalashvili on the left-hand side. Heading towards added time at the end of the game. A very, very late finish for Scotland and Georgia this evening. Diagonal ball out to Kvaratskhelia, dancing in from the left-hand touchline. Two defenders in front of him, looks for the pass. Scotland, well, with McLean tigerishly trying to win the ball back, just a bit over exuberant in the challenges, considered the free kick. Shooting range, actually.
Harsh, wasn't it? A wee bit harsh. I thought he'd win the ball first. Referee's given a free kick. It looks as if it's just about outside shooting range on a non-skiddy day. We might actually have a look at it and have a zip at it from out here. It's about 35, I would say.
It's definitely shooting range. Depends who's hitting it. It's definitely shooting range.
Very good.
4 minutes of added time remaining. Pat Nevin, James McFadden, Roddy Forsyth and Kelly Cates all here at Hampden Park. We'll be wrapping it up after the game, taking you through until 11:30. Then Nick Bright will take over. If you've missed any of the chat, the stories, and of course the post-match reaction will be in that Football Daily podcast for you, available via the BBC Sounds app. Test match special podcast as well. Here's Kvaratskhelia, dink ball into the box, could work out, little back heel there, only runs as far as Hendry, and Hendry didn't even need to look there, just smashed it away with his right foot and out for a throw to Georgia.
Do you know, I really want Georgia to take a throw in there very quickly in case I have a look at the VAR. Suggestion of handball.
Yeah, Hickey put his arm out, didn't it?
Okay.
I don't know if the ball hit it, I don't know if it's natural or unnatural, but it looked like he had his arm outstretched.
Let's see. Georgia waiting to take the throw. They've not made too much fuss about it. Scotland are waiting to make the change. I wouldn't be doing that. I'd let them take the throw, but they are going to make it. John McGinn comes off. And Ryan Christie comes on. Super John McGinn. He's announced to the Scotland faithful as he leaves the pitch. Another fabulous performance from him in the national team colours. Scotland leading Georgia by 2-0, and there is a penalty check going on. Well spotted, lads. So yes, video assistant referee Bartosz Frankowski is having a look at this potential handball by Hickey.
I think both of us felt it was a penalty. I thought it was a penalty.
Okay, so we might get a late penalty, and referees coming over to the screen, so that suggests possibly.
Yeah, I think
it's the ball scooped over the top. Aaron Hickey's put his arm out to feel for the defender, and it looked like it hit his arm. Now, depending on where it is, if it's on the shoulder.
Let's have a look. He's leaping. His left arm's away from his body, and it's catching his sort of left elbow. That's a penalty. Yeah. That will be a penalty. It's Scotland 2, Georgia 0. We've played 2 minutes of added time of the 4 minutes of added time. But I mean, what does the game need now? It needs a penalty save from Angus Gunn, doesn't he? He tried it against Haaland and very nearly did it on Saturday.
I mean, I don't know why the referee's taking his time here. That's as clear as you get.
Yeah.
That's a penalty kick.
Well, I don't think he's had enough time here at Hampden Park.
Maybe there's a bit of contact before, meaning that Hickey has to put his arm out. Therefore, it's
pushed off balance.
Natural.
Yeah, he has been dragged back. Nudge. Yeah, he has been dragged back, but I think it's by his own player.
Here comes the referee, jogging back towards the pitch, blows the whistle and indicates changing decision points to the spot. Video assistant referee assenting to the screen, then points to his left arm and says that Hickey has handballed it. Georgia will have a penalty late in this game, but from Scotland's point of view, it should be too late for them to do anything about it. So this will be, I think, Kvaratskhelia, the star man, against Angus Gunn. I wonder what Kvaratskhelia is going to try and do, because with the free kick we saw that lovely little scoop. Whether he might go for the old Panenka or something funky, we'll have to see. Needs to take it quickly, because Georgia, if they do want to try and find another goal after this, really don't have much time. Jeers, whistles, boos around Hampden Park. Angus Gunn, can he be the hero? Faced one of the biggest stars in world football from the penalty spot in Oslo on Saturday and nearly kept Haaland's penalty out. Now he's facing Napoli's Kvaratskhelia, who's only got eyes for the ball. Left foot just in front of right foot. Deep breath, here he comes. Oh, and he's missed it. He's missed the target. That sums up Georgia's night. A soggy, sad night for them at Hampden Park. The star man has hit the penalty off the target, and it goes behind for a goal kick to Scotland.
We have to be honest, the big splash when he actually hits it, he's probably saying that's actually just the conditions that's caused that. There's a massive splash on the penalty spot.
Angus Gunn goes the right way.
Yeah.
I'm going to say he saves it if he hits it on target.
Went for power, went for height, has knocked it over the crossbar. And the stopwatch says we played 4.5 minutes of the minimum 4 minutes of added time, but obviously the VAR decision took a little bit of time, so we've probably got a minute or so of football left here on what's been another great night for Scotland, ever improving under Steve Clarke and really playing some great football in the process as well. They're going to make it 4 wins out of 4, leading Georgia by 2-0. Had that not been a slip there, edge of the box by Ryan Christie, they could have been in there. There we go. Scotland make history. This team, Steve Clarke's team, the first Scotland team ever to win the opening 4 games in a qualification campaign for a major tournament. Cyprus 3-0, Spain 2-0. On Saturday night, they beat Norway by 2-1 in Oslo, and now they put paid to Georgia by 2-0 this evening. They are 8 points clear at the top of Group A. They are absolutely charging towards Euro 2024. They dealt with a really tricky evening in terms of conditions and what went on, and the fact that it didn't look like Georgia wanted to come out and play. And Pat Nevin and James McFadden, they played some absolutely fantastic football to boot as well and get in the win, didn't they?
They did. You know, they struggled at the start of the restart to get to grips with the changing shape for Georgia in terms of being able to go and put pressure on them. Second half, the early goal certainly helps. Totally dominant, controlled the football, knocked it about, patient, looking for those openings. It was a mature, measured performance. There might have been a worry that Scotland would not overlook but get excited about the fact they'd won the first 3 games. Such a professional, strong, enjoyable, dominant performance tonight from Scotland, and I don't see that relenting anytime soon, because it's such an in-tune squad, and they deserve all the praise and credit they're going to get. They deserve the full house, they deserve the fans that have stayed behind given the circumstances. Tremendous performance. They're not done yet either.
What a night it's been at Hampden. Plenty of starting and stopping involved in this one. The game actually got underway after really heavy rain early doors, just in the build-up to kick-off. On 6 minutes, Scotland went ahead through Callum McGregor. On 7 minutes, the game was stopped. And after several false starts, we kept thinking it was going to go ahead, but nearly an hour and a half after the game had been stopped, it was back underway. Georgia players did not want to come out at that stage, but the officials made the decision that the game was going to go ahead, and Scotland took it to 2-0 at the start of the second half. And then with that missed penalty for Georgia, they take that 2-0 victory, and it's 4 wins in a row. And Pat, automatic qualification to Euro 2024 is very much on the cards for Scotland.
It's very, very close. This is grown-up, mature stuff from Scotland. You know, controlling games. This isn't a fluke. This is a very good football team that we've got there. I'm absolutely convinced Scotland will qualify for this with some ease. They're a horrible team to play against, Scotland. They're a lovely team to watch, but it must be horrible to play against, because they hold the ball well, they're all comfortable in the ball, they're all technically good in the ball, but when they've not got the ball, they chase and they close down and they harry and they've got spirit and they're a unit. It's just the epitome of the type of team you hate to play against, but you love to play in. And it's Barry was saying just a few seconds ago there, this isn't it. There's more. This looks to me like a team that's going to improve. I just noticed up on the left-hand side, they've given Billy Gilmore the man of the match. I would agree with it. But if they've given it to McTominay, I'd have agreed with that as well. They've given it to certainly Robertson in the first half, that would have been fine too. But to have Billy Gilmore, who's hardly played at all, to walk in and do what he did there, very similar to what he did against England.
Has he played many games where he hasn't been man of the match in his whole career? And
even I remember his first one with Chelsea against Liverpool. Yeah, cruised in, completely controlled that game. He is a star. I've looked up my history with Chelsea, etc. Absolutely and utterly beyond me why I let that boy go. It's probably the best thing for him because he's going to get more games of football. But he is, I'll say international class, but bordering world class. He's very special. What a history he is going to have in Scottish football.
As you said, Billy Gilmore did get the player of the match in this one, but Scott McTominay with the goal in the game as well on top of it, but just his all-round performance. But what do you think, James, is the difference between the Scott McTominay that we see for Manchester United and the Scott McTominay that we see for Scotland?
Well, I think the position that he's playing for Scotland is to go forward. He's playing in that midfield. We need to remember Scott McTominay played on the right hand side of a back three under Steve Clarke because he was trusted with his ability, his tactical knowledge, his physical attributes. But of late, being more advanced, allowed to get forward, he's got such power in his running. But even when he's getting into those areas, his finish is outstanding. It really is. Left foot on the stretch, always going away from him, and he just bends it into the near post, doesn't panic. Tremendous finish. When he plays for Manchester United, he's a defensive midfielder, either in a 1 or in a 2. When he was playing there, it was with Fred, and Fred's probably similar in that he's probably better going forward. But Scott McTominay obviously is going to play there because he's asked to play there. When he's coming away with Scotland, he's free to go and join in the attack. We speak about how strong the squad is, how in tune it is. It has to every single player has to play well and function in it to get the best out of them. I know myself from a time playing when maybe things aren't going as well at your club side, maybe you're not playing, or when you're playing, if you're out of position, or you're maybe not getting the headlines, you're not being the main man, or you're coming in for a bit of stick. It's a relief to go away and play with Scotland, to then score goals. His last 3 or 4 games he scored his 5 goals has just been remarkable, and I think that you get that freedom to go and express yourself, to go and play without feeling that why, no questions of why he's in the team or what he does for the team, because he's delivering as well. And I think that we're getting to see the best of Scott McTominay in a Scotland jersey. His history was playing as an attacking player, as a striker or as a number 10. And you can see why, because he picks up positions, he doesn't panic when he's in those situations, and he's been excellent. I just think, every single player tonight, Pat was right. I think you could go through the full team, apart from Angus Gunn, who had very little to do, and if you pick man of the match and it was any one of them, you couldn't argue with it.
Roddy, as the guys have said, it was a very mature performance from Scotland in really difficult circumstances.
Yes, and I was saying beforehand that the word that characterises this Scotland side for me is trust. You're not guessing how they're going to play. You know how they're going to play. Scotland have won their first 4 games in a qualifying campaign for the first time ever. They played the game at pace despite the conditions. They've scored 2 goals in 4 consecutive games for the first time since, believe it or not, September 1983. That's 40 years ago. I just about remember that. No goals conceded from open play in 6 hours of football, and Georgia had no corner kicks or any efforts on target, and that includes from the penalty spot. What a record that is.
What a record, and what a qualification record it's been for Scotland. As you were saying, Ali, this one is a record breaker for Scotland, but they haven't done it yet.
Not quite yet. So sitting top of the group on 12 points, having played 4 games. 4 games to go. The next of those, I mean, the way this Scotland team is playing, you don't want to guarantee anything, but is away to Cyprus in September. You definitely fancy them to win that. You've got Georgia on 4 points and Norway on 4 points. Spain are in this group as well, so you can see these other teams taking points off each other. They are in a fantastic position in this group, and I wouldn't have the stats in front of me right now, Kelly, but I can't imagine there are too many teams in the history of qualification campaigns, you know, particularly in a 5-team group where you're only playing 8 games, where you've won the first 4, that you don't go on to qualify for a major tournament, and you don't need to win the group. Top 2 get through to Euro 2024. So it is looking very, very good for Scotland, and deservedly so, because they have been, I've not seen all those games, but I've certainly seen the one tonight and been very, very impressed by what I've seen.
Scott McTominay was talking about the concentration required in order to keep their focus with an hour and a half delay, and that kept moving around when the players were inside in the dressing room. He was saying it was just more about keeping warm, keeping the mind focused. He said, I don't think it's a case of getting distracted, and he said, we're sorry for all the fans who've stayed till the end, and we thank you so much. And this, you know, the crowd here at Hampden, and yes, people were leaving early, not leaving early at the end, but they were getting away quickly at the end because they need to get home, and the transport was going off. But the amount of fans, the vast majority of them who stayed over the course of an hour and a half and stayed in really high spirits all the way through it, is testament to the hope and the belief and the excitement around this Scotland side. And Scott McTominay said, when we come back for the next camp, we'll want to build on tonight's performance and on those results. We're looking for more points. The job's not done, and until we've got qualification, the job isn't done. It's not just about, Pat, though, the fact that they need to qualify for Euro 2024. It's important how they qualify and the kind of momentum they can take into the tournament when it does get underway.
And yet, look, you want to qualify first and foremost, and that's it. But wouldn't it be nice to qualify first? And a team in a group like this, with the Spanish being in the group, look, it wouldn't make a difference. We're just happy to be there, but that would be a lovely thing as well. Scotland against Spain here was a big result for the country. Yes, we rode a lot in that game, but the way we technically played against it, in fact, he was saying we know how they're going to play. We know that they're going to be comfortable on the ball, and we know they're going to work hard, and they're going to be a unit. You know all that, but sometimes we play really deep. Sometimes we say, okay, we'll take all the pressure, and we're confident we can do that. We'll close down where they're strong, and then we'll play in the break, or then we'll give our last 15 minutes go at it. So there's adaptability to win with the ways we do. In fact, one of the games there, we just played with 4 at the back instead of 5 at the back. So there is real adaptability within the group. If you could go, get something maybe in Spain. You see, if you could go and get a draw in Spain, I think Scotland players would just look at each other and think, why not? Why not? We'll just chase this. We've got a chance. We could get in there and maybe get out of the group stage. And the reason I think that more than anything else, do you think that most of those players ever go into any game and think, yeah, we might not win today? But they don't think that at the clubs. McGinn doesn't think that at his club, does he? Absolutely not. Do you think Robertson's ever thought that at his club? No chance. If you bring that into the national team and you don't care who you play for, you've got a chance.
We've talked about the individuals within that Scotland squad, but you've also both talked about, during commentary and afterwards, the relationship between the players, particularly down that left-hand side. How much work goes into that? As much as there's a natural relationship between them, you can see the training sessions on the pitch as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a work in progress from the start. At the very start, Steve Clarke played a back 3, Kieran Tierney's the left centre back, Scott McTominay was the right centre back, and Andy Robertson's the left wing back. And everybody says, just don't do it, it can't work, it's not going to work. So that's been years of experience, practice within games, working on your positioning. The relationship then gets a chance to grow and build. And I mentioned this in commentary, you've got Kieran Tierney, who's a left back. He can play left centre back, no problem. And that's key, because when Andy Robertson goes, which we need him to do, and which he does anyway, Kieran Tierney just steps into left back and just defends the wide area. The more I watched it, I could not believe how much Georgia tried to force the ball down their right hand side, down Scotland's left, as though Kieran Tierney's not a world class defender. And they just dealt with it. The relationship then going forward, didn't see it so much tonight, but we've seen it before, where Andy Robertson drives inside, Kieran Tierney goes down the outside of him, and that can work in that way. But it's been years of work to build a relationship. Yes, it's been work on the training ground, but it's in these games, winning games, learning together, winning together. Sometimes it's ugly, sometimes it's beautiful. The last year and a half, it's been absolutely beautiful. It's been magnificent to watch. That will get stronger again.
Can I say one last thing about that? Clarkey should know that, because that's his position. That's what he played for the entirety of his career, and I played with him for about 3 years doing that position. And he loves triangles. And I remember Andy Roxburgh used to say years ago, you get triangles of people who work each other, understand each other. It's hard to get it because you can get two that work together really well, but getting a third of the triangle on the left hand side, as Faddy said right at the start, they've got the triangle because McGregor works through them brilliantly. And watch out the right hand side. I suspect they'll be just as good.